It is 10:01. Good morning from the SEC tournament at Bridgestone Arena. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Titans made some moves on Wednesday, bringing in free agent defensive lineman Dre'Mont Jones on a one-year, $10 million deal. Jones had 4 sacks for the Seahawks last year. They also signed veteran right guard Kevin Zeitler, formerly of the Lions, on a one-year deal worth $9 million. The team also shipped linebacker Kenneth Murray to the Dallas Cowboys, also sending a 7th-round pick in exchange for a 6th-rounder. In quarterback news yesterday, Mac Jones signed a 2-year, $7 million deal with the San Francisco 49ers, and we continue to wait on the futures of Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. The SEC tournament got underway yesterday. Vanderbilt's late comeback fell short in a 79-72 loss to Texas in the first round. The games continue today at Bridgestone. First matchup at noon between Arkansas and Ole Miss. The winner faces number 1 seed Auburn tomorrow. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. Good morning. Welcome in another day at the SEC tournament at Bridgestone Arena on 104.5 The Zone. We'll be here right outside section 104 next to the FanDuel Sports Network setup until the end of the day. 3HL taking you home until 6. I'm Lucas Panzica. We're with you until 1. I am here seated in my chair. To my right, I have CJ Ecke of Promotions. To my left, I have 3HL producer Joseph Bonanno. Directly in front of me, I have one Kirby Allen Kirby. Robert Walsh is in position, back at network control in the control room. And there is an empty chair directly to my left as Buck Rising has been unable to make it out to Bridgestone Arena. He'll be here just eventually. As is tradition, Robert, Buck timed out his day just to where one thing, running slightly behind, would derail him from getting to the show on time.
And that one thing was his parfait was not according to his order. So he had to get another strawberry parfait ordered and now waiting on the shuttle. I think we should change the name of this show to the Stuck in Traffic Rising Show.
I agree. The SITR show.
Yeah.
First, he sent back the parfait because it wasn't good enough. And I think that probably is what caused him to miss the first shuttle that would have brought him here on time, which now has led to him having to take another shuttle, which will deliver him to our set TBD. Who knows when Buck will end up getting here, but we do have Titans moves to discuss, and we don't necessarily need him to do that. Now, Titans made a couple of moves yesterday. They also have made their moves from earlier in the week official. Those are Dan Moore Jr., the former Steelers left tackle, Blake Hance, the interior offensive lineman, punter Johnny Hecker, and off-ball linebacker Cody Barton. Those deals are officially official in two-tone blue. And then yesterday, the Titans continue to do some work, particularly up front with the front seven on defense and along the offensive line. And suddenly, Bert, the offensive line is kind of taking shape, and we basically have the starting 5 nailed down, assuming, of course, Lloyd Cushenberry ends up being healthy and ready to go, which he says he will be by training camp, but coming off a later season Achilles injury, we'll see. It's a lofty goal, but that's what Cushenberry says he will do. Yesterday, the Titans signed former Lions right guard Kevin Zeitler, former Pro Bowl right guard. He will be 36 this season, but he comes in on a one-year, $9 million deal. They bring in former Seahawks defensive lineman Dre'Mont Jones on a one-year deal worth $10 million, and they ship Kenneth Murray to Dallas in a trade that involves a pick swap. So the Cowboys get Murray and a Titans 7th. The Titans get a 6th-round pick in return. They also are able to free up just over $7 million in cap space. So, again, as uninspiring as this offseason might be for Titans fans who maybe aren't necessarily expecting a meaningfully competitive team in 2025, they do continue to do everything they told us they were going to do. Draft, develop, retain, patience over panic. They were never going to spend big money in free agency. Now, have they missed out on some guys that they would have liked to bring in that they were unable to? It sounds like that is yes, at least in the case of Javon Holland, for example, the safety that does not end up here, and they go get Xavier Woods on a 2-year deal worth $10 million. But in regards to the offensive and defensive lines, there was an emphasis on building out the trenches this offseason, and that's what they've done. And suddenly, again, it is a low bar, but those two units feel like some of the stronger units currently on this roster. So we have a starting five, Robert, from left to right, with Dan Moore Jr. starting at left tackle, Peter Skoronski starting at left guard, Lloyd Cushenberry at center. Now Kevin Zeitler comes in at right guard, and J.C. Latham kicks out from left tackle to right tackle. In a perfect, healthy scenario, that is your day one starting offensive line for the Titans in 2025. What sort of confidence level should Titans fans have that that is the offensive line that potentially Cam Ward will be taking snaps behind in his rookie year?
Yeah, most of the times when you list like a bunch of moves and someone says like, "What was your favorite move of these sets of Titans moves yesterday?" Usually there's an easy one to point out. But for me, I think most of these moves were all worth getting excited over. But I'm going to have to go back to Zeitler. Zeitler was my favorite signing of the day. But you asked about how the expectations of Titans fans coming into this year, that how they should feel about this offensive line. Well, what they've added is consistency and availability. Dan Moore has been available for the majority of his career. Kevin Zeitler has been available for the majority of his year. And having someone beside Cush who can come in there and play after Cush is coming off an injury, where Radens didn't know if he was going to play right guard, right tackle. We don't know where the hell he was going to play last year. So adding consistency to this line should help a lot going into 2025.
And that's what they said they were going to do. And suddenly you have a little bit of confidence, at least in the defensive line. Titans need edge rushers, and how they utilize Draymond Jones will be very interesting. It is still a very bare room in terms of edge rusher, but up front, suddenly you add Draymond Jones to a group that already obviously retains Jeffrey Simmons and T'Vondre Sweat and re-signed Sebastian Joseph Day. So there is some continuity and some fresh faces added to that room.
And Jones is a little bit of an interesting case, right? Because he's not heavy enough to be like, oh, yeah, he's a defensive tackle. He's somebody that's going to go against centers and guards. Well, he's a little too heavy to be like a full-fledged outside linebacker. That's where he's kind of cool at, right? Where if it's a third and long package, you know they're going to run the ball, maybe you can slide him inside to get a little more interior pressure. But having that ambiguity on defense with him and being able to slide him outside, being able to slide him inside is a great thing and a measured thing for this defense to have.
Greg Cosell had some interesting things to say about Draymond Jones. We'll get to that later in the show. We are on 104.5 The Zone TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in. Thank you for joining us.
What's up?
That was very kind.
Things to say?
Very kind of you to show up.
Got nothing else after 9 minutes of talking? It's a big strain for you?
Oh, no. Well, we're okay.
I love how he just turns it around. As soon as you guys are done. You were late. You don't get to turn it around on us. You don't get to swim around and be like, oh, you guys done talking?
I'm sure it was super interesting.
So I could get
it was
now?
the best 9 minutes in the history of 104.5 The Zone. God forbid.
No, nobody is happy to see you. I hope you understand this in the F&M Bank chat.
What else is new?
Nothing.
Since when has that ever bothered me?
Nothing is new. What was so wrong with your parfait at breakfast this morning that you had to send it back, which is what made you miss the first shuttle that brought you out to Bridgestone Arena?
Well, these annoying old people that are running the shuttle system just had to talk to me about Vanderbilt's embarrassing loss last night.
Another option off the board.
Yes. Yes.
For the Titans' backup quarterback as Mason Rudolph headed back to Pittsburgh on a 2-year deal, $8 million, 4.5 guaranteed in that deal. So Mason Rudolph out of Nashville, headed back to the Steel City.
How about this? Rudolph mulled multiple offers, including a return to the Titans, but was motivated to head back to Pittsburgh. So like Nick Westbrook-Akina, there was an offer, and he said, "Nah, I'm good." These backup quarterback options are dwindling. And the name that many of us fear is still out there in Carson Wentz. Mac Jones went to the Niners late last night. Now Mason Rudolph decided, that 1 year in Tennessee, Pittsburgh feels like a more stable situation, a better situation. And they don't have a starting quarterback settled yet in Pittsburgh, obviously, which is one of the more important dominoes to fall here with New York and the Browns and Pittsburgh and the Titans. So Mason Rudolph declines an offer to stay with the Titans to head back to Pittsburgh. Interesting.
He gets $1 million more than Mac Jones, who got a 2-year, $7 million deal in San Fran.
I think Mac Jones took less to go with Kyle Shanahan.
I was going to say that felt like a really low number for him.
Yeah, but Kyle Shanahan wanted Mac Jones. He was undecided between Trey Lance and Mac Jones going back a couple of years. And ultimately, this is his opportunity for Mac Jones to rehabilitate his career. He would also like to be one of these successful reclamation projects at quarterback. And so to take less money to go to a better situation makes sense for Mac Jones. For Mason Rudolph, the situation here is something he obviously had familiarity with and experience with, and the experience in Pittsburgh was better for him. So Mason Rudolph back to the Steelers.
The list of available free agent quarterbacks, like you said, is dwindling. Gardner Minshew is still out there.
Yep.
As is Jameis Winston.
That is not going to happen here.
Why do you say that?
Brian Callahan is not going to have Jameis Winston as the backup quarterback here.
What's a better case scenario for your backup quarterback, Jameis Winston or Carson Wentz?
I mean, for us, Jameis, because at least he's funny.
For the football team.
For the football team, it's probably Wentz.
You talked for 20 minutes yesterday about that being the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
So how would that be better than Jameis Winston if that would be the worst case scenario? So Jameis would be worst case scenario.
You've got a proven track record of some success in the history of Carson Wentz. Jameis Winston has never been a successful NFL quarterback.
Okay, so Carson Wentz would not be worst case scenario.
I mean, it's the worst case scenario for us. For them, I don't know what their worst case scenario is. I'm talking about for us.
What do you mean for us?
Like, as far as things to talk about, things to
Okay,
watch,
but like
things to discuss.
Us aside, I'm not
All
thinking
right.
about us. I'm thinking for the football team. What's a worst case scenario? Carson Wentz or Jameis Winston?
Yes.
Well, that's where you're at. I'm surprised Gardner Minshew's still out there, if I'm being honest.
I mean, I don't know. What did he do to... He's probably played his best football, Lucas. Gardner Minshew. Like, is the Gardner Minshew experience going to get
All these guys have played their best football, and he is 28 years old.
Well, no, that's not the case for some of the players that we've talked about, some of the young players that we've talked about, the former first-round picks in Fields and Mac Jones and Zach Wilson.
No, all the guys that are left have played their best football.
Sure.
That's what I'm saying.
I think that the situation for the Titans is going to be interesting, and I think that they have no choice but to draft Cam Ward number 1 overall, no matter who they sign to be the backup quarterback at this point. Because anything less than that is going to be completely unsatisfactory. 615-737-1045 is the number. Have you talked basketball yet today?
No, just briefly touched on it to open up. Ron Slay will swing by at some point, I believe, in this hour.
Uh-oh.
As the games get fired back up today.
TV for like, yeah, I could do without that for the rest of my life. So we'll get that live and in person after 12 hours of doing television yesterday. At some point in the first hour, we can talk about backup quarterback options for the Titans.
I see him
he's
approaching.
making his way over. So why don't we talk to Ron Slay coming up next? The Tennessee Men's Clinic has helped so many guys over the course of the last decade plus, and they are here to help you if you're dealing with any misconceptions out there about treating ED. The Tennessee Men's Clinic is there to help if, for example, the pill stopped working. And the sad reality is that if you go to a doctor for ED treatment, things like irreversible surgery may be the only things that they can offer you. Do not go through irreversible surgery to treat ED before you have talked to the experts at the Tennessee Men's Clinic. They specialize in men's sexual health issues. It's all they do, and it makes them the experts in the field. They have access to multiple protocols and options to treat ED based on your specific needs and what's going on in your body. So don't trust your health to an online pharmacy and don't feel like you're out of options. We want you to understand all the options you have available when it comes to ED treatment. So call the Tennessee Men's Clinic today at 615-208-9090 or schedule an appointment online at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Welcome back to the show. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. We're hanging out here at the SEC tournament at Bridgestone Arena. Ron Slay is here. He did, what, 13 hours,
man,
14 hours of television yesterday?
Listen, man. I got my beet juice. I got my PB&J smoothie with spinach in it. I got my greens and ginger juice also. I just had my turmeric shot. Man, this I'm built for this. Nobody is built for the time that we're doing, dog. Like we had a joke. We had a joke running yesterday. Like, hey man, if somebody asks you how long you been here, just say I got here early. And they ask you how long you staying, way too late. Like,
unless you're a buck,
dog. Yeah,
not the case. It's quite the opposite. Got here late and getting out of here early.
I'm just mentally preparing myself to check out the 11 o'clock hour. You're basically going to host the 11 o'clock hour.
That's going to be fun.
You're basically going to host the rest of the show because Indiana plays at 11. Then I'm going to stop paying attention to everything.
You are as in your element, Slay. As
Yeah.
I think this is as in your element as it gets, apart from your playing career, I guess, is the SEC tournament and all the coverage.
Yeah, and you know what? It's a little bit more than when I was playing because you got more fan bases that want to talk to you, cheering for you, telling you doing a good job. You got some guys out there that's also going to tell you you're terrible at your job, which is cool too. Just let me know it's not no right down the middle.
Yesterday?
Yeah. Oh, what? You ought to see social media. They went in. No, it was been about yesterday, our Arkansas game. But you know, all in all, man, it's been fun. You know, you get to see older people that you watched play. You get to see coaches that you run into that respect your game. Broadcasters, I think, is some of the coolest things because the stories that they remember when you run across them is pretty dope. You know what I mean? Playing at their venues and stuff. So, yeah, man. And then the players. It's always interesting to see how the players react after you've talked about them for a year. And all of it's been cool. I don't think it's I had one run-in that was – was it last year? I think it was last year. It was Texas A&M. So they had a guy, Dennis – God, what's Dennis' last name? But anyway, he was killing on the wing, working for Texas A&M. So throughout the year, I'm like, man, that's Dennis the Menace, boy. Because when he get out there, he's a menace for the opposing team trying to guard him. So when they came up to the set, I was like, hey, dog, you know what my nickname is if you don't? He said, yeah, I heard it. I was like, what, you don't like it or something?
Is it Dexter Dennis?
Dexter Dennis, yes.
Dexter Dennis.
I'm like, dog, hey, man, he was a problem when he got it going. So I was like, dog, man, Dennis the Menace, dog. He was like, yeah, don't call me that, man. I said, damn. I'm like, what? Don't call you. He was like, yeah. I was like, man. So after I hit the SID, like, hey, man, put me in touch with him. I wrote him an email and everything, like, dog.
An email?
Yeah, I don't mean nothing bad, homie. Like, because he was like messed up about it. I was like, man, I don't know what you went through in your childhood or whatever, man, but my bad, man. I thought that was. It wasn't me. Yeah, I was like, something.
I feel like that's a pretty harmless
was scarred
nickname.
or something, man. So I was like, that was the only problem. Other than that, though, and it wasn't a problem. It was just like he ain't like my nickname. Everybody likes my nickname.
Yeah, you never know what somebody's going to take the wrong way.
Exactly. It was weird.
I
man,
can't
but
relate
yeah.
to that at all with athletes and run-ins on a regular basis.
Hey, speaking to Buck Rising.
Ron Slay, 3HL, SEC Network, hanging out here. All right, let's talk about yesterday's results before we get to today's slate because there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yep.
I think the place that we need to start is Texas beating Vanderbilt. It was very disappointing, certainly to Vanderbilt fans. The end of the season for Vandy. Is there any kind of theme that you could identify for why they slumped so badly at the end?
I think a lot of people got used to the way they play as far as their interior. You look at Carey, McLaughlin, and Mannion. Those guys are bullies. Undersized bullies, and they have to play that way to create some kind of advantage or some kind of physicality for Vanderbilt because they get up and down and they're really guard-oriented, playing 4 around 1, sometimes 5 wide. So they have to have something that they can lean on, and that's what they lean on. And in the latter part of the season, they start getting in foul trouble. So they didn't have those guys to be in there to help them out. Yesterday was the same exact thing. They got in foul trouble. Carey picked up some early fouls. McLaughlin fouled out. Mannion was in foul trouble. So it wasn't much they could do. And Bias I was a little biased in this one. I needed Texas to win because I want the nation to see Trey Johnson. Like, you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't get an opportunity to watch him on the biggest stage with the lights the brightest and the way he can deliver. This young man, dog, he's been playing like this the entire season, and he's gotten better. And it's nothing rushed. As a freshman, dude's special, man.
Texas needed that win,
probably
more than Vandy did, and it showed.
Vandy's in the tournament.
You think they're in no matter what?
Yeah, they in. They fine.
It's just the way they finished out Slay after that win against Missouri, where we reacted to that, in the sense of, okay, they're in. They have to be. But to finish out losing those 3 games against, bottom 5 seeds in the SEC at the end of the day, and Arkansas and then Georgia and then Texas. It's a really uninspiring way to go into the big dance.
It is, but it's human nature too. You know what I mean? After that Missouri win, just like what you said, they're in. They kind of exhaled, I believe, a little bit and was like, we are in. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of injuries kind of mounted up on them, but I do think they'll be fine because of the resume that they have. They're looking at quad 1 wins. They ain't worried about the losses when it comes to the NCAA committee. You got to keep in mind, this is what I was told. We have to have 68 teams. So if you don't agree with it, fine. But look at the resumes of the 68 teams and tell me why somebody should be left out.
And then Arkansas gets a much-needed win. They hold off South Carolina, who surged back in this thing. I really want to hear your opinion on this. I'm sure you guys talked about it on SEC Network. Coach Cal, after the game, as they're trying to close it out, John L. Davis on the free throw line. Robert, do we have this audio from John Calipari? And Arkansas up by 3 with 2.5 seconds left. He can hit the free throw and go up 4 and end the game, but this is what John Calipari said he instructed Davis to do.
He tried to miss it. He shot it flat and banked it in. You're up 3 and there's 2 seconds to go. Miss it. By the time they get it, there's a second. Now, the other side of that is, what if they throw one deep and bank it in? But I've done it before, so I do some unconventional stuff. And he banked it in, and I was like happy.
He instructed him to miss the free throw.
Yeah, I don't.
What's going on?
We were talking about it during the game, after the game, when he was on set. Like, we didn't understand it. Like he said, he does some unconventional things, but it makes 0 sense to me. Why not just go up 4 and guess what? The game's over. Or just try to make it. What about trying to make it? That's going to be better than a ricochet off the rim and somebody get it at the 3-point line, pass his shot. It's so much weird stuff. We won a game like that against Georgia Tech because they didn't miss the free throw in this situation. I think we only had like 0.7 or something, and all they had to do was miss it. They were up 2. What were they up? 1. And B.J. Elder, all he had to do was miss the free throw. He made the free throw. We had an opportunity to take it out, and John Higgins hit a half court, and we ended up beating them by 1. So, coaching, especially at this time, is weird, especially the veteran that Cal is, the things that he goes through, all the stuff that he talks about. The tournament doesn't matter, but at the same time, during the game, you're stomping your foot. I thought you said it didn't matter. If I'm a player, coach, what you getting mad for? Like, this don't matter, do it?
Well, that's where I guess I want to take it next, like, because it's easy for us to sit back and see that, but, like, you've been a player in these locker rooms before. You understand that dynamic and the presence that Cal is.
Yeah.
And the figure that he imposes, like, you're not going to push back on him as a national championship winning coach if you're a college player on that roster. And he's just sending mixed messages to his team, his fan base, and the program that he's now in charge of. It's a very weird situation with him.
It is. But when you get a lot of young guys, man, and, they look up to you and that bag is coming in quite heavy. You can say a lot of things and get away with them. It's cool. Sweep it under the rug, man.
Ron Slay's hanging out here with us. You can catch him all day on television, all day yesterday, all day today with the SEC Network, all weekend long. He's providing you excellent coverage with the rest of their crew. Of the 4 teams that won yesterday, Arkansas, Texas, Miss State, and Oklahoma, who has the opportunity to do the most damage moving forward?
I'm going to have to go Arkansas because I said it coming into this tournament, if the bigs can play the way that they're playing, Jonas Adu is playing like he left off last year.
Double-double
this
yesterday.
This is why that big purse of $1 million made sense, because you thought you were going to get this type of output. But he's playing that way. Trevor Brazile is playing like a guy that should be taken in the first round of the NBA draft. That's what they thought coming back. I don't know what it was, the disconnect leading up to this point, like the last 5 or 6 games, but They're knocked in now. Now they need to get Big Z going. They get Big Z going. You got to think, that's 3 7-footers, and 2 of them are skilled to handle the ball and space the floor. That's tough to handle, and all 3 of them can defend the basket. That's tough in any league. I don't care if you're playing 7 guys, 4 guys, 6 guys. It don't even matter. You get them guys playing and dominating on both ends like they've been doing, and they'll run away with it. They're a Sweet 16 team if they can play their way, and DJ Wagner continues to play. You can no longer go under screens on him. The last 3 games, he's been shooting the ball great. So Nelly Davis has slid back to his spot. My only problem would be if they were going to bring back, and I don't think it's likely, Boogie Flan, because that means they would take the ball out of DJ Wagner's hand, who's got comfortable in that spot at the point guard.
Ole Miss is not an easy game.
No.
And that's who they'd have to play today, who they will play today. And if they do get past Ole Miss, they'd get Auburn.
Yep.
It's not an easy road, and we'll get to Tennessee here in just a second. But the trajectory of it, what do you like about that matchup specifically with Ole Miss?
They can rebound against Ole Miss. Ole Miss take away what they did against Tennessee, making the shots that they did, the contested shots, and then taking the rebounds that they were able to get. I don't expect Arkansas to be able to give that up, but the weapons that they have, being able to play 8 or 9 guys, if they can get out and run Arkansas, get them tired, get them in foul trouble, they'll be in trouble. But other than that, the jury's still out on Chris Beard for me. Not on him, but his team.
I'd take him.
Yeah, I think half the nation would.
I
mean, look at Ole Miss. Regardless of what happened, they took him. And like that dude is, once he gets his guys, he's a problem. He's been a problem at Texas Tech. He was a problem at Texas. And he'll be a problem at Ole Miss once he gets his guys.
After that Arkansas-Ole Miss game, Texas and Texas A&M play for the right to face Tennessee in the quarterfinals. Tennessee's beaten both of those teams on the road this year.
Yep.
How much better a matchup would Texas be for the Vols than Texas A&M, who I just assume you'd rather play the Longhorns?
Yeah, I mean, the physical style that Texas A&M is going to bring, if you don't have to play that rock fight, you don't want to. If you want to play like Texas, a little bit more finesse on the inside, be able to get up and down, get to your spots, and be able to pressure them and turn them over, that's much easier than that matchup against A&M. A&M is going to be physical. Buzz Williams got them dudes locked in. You play both of them. Both are games that Tennessee had to gut out. You need guys to step up. Which Tennessee team is going to show up? I think that's the biggest question. You know what I'm saying?
How do you see that final 1 seed being settled when it comes to Tennessee, Florida, and Bama? When you've got Florida, Bama likely going to play each other in the semifinal unless they get upset. Tennessee is going to have to face Auburn.
Yeah.
It's going to turn into a fascinating experiment, Slay, because then you could have 2 of those 3 teams facing each other in the championship game.
Yep.
And recently, the championship game has not affected the seeding whatsoever. So
right.
I'm just so fascinated at how that's all going to play out.
Yeah, the way Alabama ended, I think if Tennessee were to lose, Alabama would control that 1. Florida would definitely control the 1 if they were to win. I think Tennessee is the 3rd team in that situation, needing things to go right, and end up probably beating Auburn, and depend on how the semifinals would go. You know what I'm saying? If they were if they got to the championship. Depends on how to go. Tennessee got to do a lot of work to go get that 1 spot again. I think you're firmly planted in the 2 spot. That's whether you win or lose. I don't think you drop it all. So, but Florida and Alabama, that's going to be hard to jump over. The way they ended the season, hard to jump over.
Do you trust Tennessee?
Yes, I trust Tennessee. Do I trust Tennessee scoring? That's the $1 million question. I trust them to be in every single game, whether it be a high-scoring game or a low-scoring game. I just need them to be able to get buckets when things go flat for you. When the jumper's not falling, you got to be able to get to the foul line. When you get the turnovers, you're the number 1 defense in the country. You have to be able to turn those turnovers into points. That's the thing. That's the only thing I don't trust. Other than that, I trust the Defensive Player of the Year back-to-back. I trust the first-team All-American, which he should be. I trust the National Defensive Player of the Year, Jemai Mashack. I should trust Chaz Lanier as a newcomer. Yeah, I absolutely trust him.
You should?
No, I do.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
How much do they need out of Igor Milicic Jr. in this postseason? Like, what have you seen from him in the last couple of weeks after he had that run of just incredible performances? Was it the Missouri game where he was just unbelievable? It feels like that's faded a little bit, though, in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, he got to find himself. I think he's doing a great job of still going to the boards, but that aggressiveness, you got to be able to tame it back a little bit at times to be able to incorporate your offense into it. I think a lot of times he's just like, man, you know what? They want us to hit the boards. Let's just go hit the boards. And he'll run in there, run on somebody back. And as a coach, you don't want to be like, hey, man, hey, like, be cool, because you need him to do that. If you can get him, Cade Phillips, and Felix all attacking the glass like that, it'll be kind of like what I'm talking about with Arkansas. They can get out on the run because of their interior. He stretches the floor. He's huge for them. And if they ever need to go small, you can play him at the 5, which makes it beautiful. Whoo! You got to deliver, though. You got to deliver. He's never been on the stage. Like, just the same thing for who is Oklahoma. They got to get ready to play Kentucky.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, y'all have been in the Big 12, and you've seen what it's like in Kansas City to play Kansas. You ain't seen nothing till you see tonight when Kentucky walks in here. If you think you think that's something watching Kansas, that little atmosphere can't compare with what you about to see tonight. So
I'm so prepared to heckle them in the concourse, and it's a bad idea because I know my team's going to lose today, and their team's probably going to win.
That's the late game.
Dude.
They'll be here early, though.
Kentucky fans showed up yesterday to heckle Cal.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, like I was asking,
Started
like, why y'all
filtering
here?
into the stadium.
Yeah. They said,
in the arena.
why y'all here? They was like, dude, to heckle Cal. Like, there ain't no ifs, ands, or buts. I was like, wow, dog. This is a deep hate right here.
I hate that I respect them as much as I do.
You got to.
You have to.
It's the way he ends the season. Like, minus getting put out of the tournaments, but his teams actually is stupid. But his teams actually get better.
Where are you
the
talking
latter
about?
part of the season.
Talking about
You're
Cal
talking about
or
Cal.
I'm talking about Cal.
I'm talking about Kentucky.
The fan base.
Oh, you ain't got no choice.
He's talking about the fan base.
Oh, you ain't got no choice. Too much tradition. Tradition.
That doesn't mean I have to like them.
You ain't got no
There are
choice.
plenty of programs that have tradition.
With
that
Mark
I'm
Pope at the helm,
totally
you have no choice. You
no,
can't
I
hate him.
know, and that's the thing that pisses me
You
off the
can't
most.
hate
Because Slay, we talked about this. I pointed at them and I laughed at them.
Yeah.
I laughed at them when they went
can't
after
hate
Dan Hurley and they didn't
Yeah.
get him and they settled for Mark Pope.
Everybody did.
And they're-
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. that is the chortle that I had at the time when Kentucky hired Mark Pope, and now I'm eating it. And they're probably going to beat Oklahoma today. What is success for Kentucky specifically in the conference tournament?
Ooh. You got
Obviously to win.
but you got to get to the semis.
Okay.
You get to the semis in his first year, knowing that he's just now the last 2 games getting a healthy squad and still Jackson Robinson out. But this is as collective of a group, as healthy as they've been walking into a matchup that they've been all year. So, semis.
That's a big accomplishment,
Yeah,
though, for a
that's
coach
huge.
at a program like
That's
this at their
huge.
first year. Like, I understand they have
had no
expectations, but come on. I mean,
They'd
again,
have to beat Bama to do it.
I don't like heaping praise on Kentucky in any way, shape, or
Yeah,
form, and I
but it
feel
is
like I
what it
have
is.
to this year.
Let me ask y'all something. Who's a player with all these great players that you guys want to see up close in person?
Ooh, today?
Because you got a National Player of the Year in the mix with Janai Broome. The coaches say it all, so the coaching matchups are great. But you got all these freshmen. You got probably, on day one, probably had about 4 lottery picks playing on Wednesday.
I mean, it's a cop-out for me to say Broome, but I haven't got to see him in person. He's just such an excellent
Yep.
player, Slay, and I'm so glad that he got healthy at the time that he did because it gave him the opportunity to claw back into the National Player of the Year
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
And I think he's acquitted himself so well. Like, I love Auburn basketball. Again, another coach that I would love to steal from that program, but I'm not going to be able to wrestle away Bruce Pearl to Indiana. Janai Broome is just so excellent at what he
Yeah.
does.
I'd go Alex Condon.
Condon is good.
Yeah, big fan of Alex Condon in
is
Florida.
good, dog. He's good.
All these teams, they have a double bye. Tennessee, Auburn, Alabama, Florida.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait.
Sit and spin. That's all you can do.
Get out of here. I'm going to put it on a T-shirt. You get the
Hey,
boom
wait,
room.
before you get out, the chat wants to see that watch. What's that wrist look like?
Give us a little Shador.
That's something cute, man.
This is something cute. Not
That thing look heavy now.
Hey, it's all
not
right,
telling
man.
y'all the brand. Get out of
Like
here.
little rose gold something.
Get out of here.
I found this down there.
It's like OBJ
Coming out the studio.
playing against the Titans with a Patek Philippe on. Slay's out here doing it for the people. He's doing it on SEC Network. He's doing it
Thank you.
on 3HL, 3 to 6 on 104.5 The Zone. Always good to catch up with the big fella, and we appreciate him working us into his very jam-packed schedule. Again, Lucas, they were on television yesterday
Yeah.
from 11 a.m. to 1 a.m.
He is unbothered by it. You would have been crying at the end of hour 4.
No, not college basketball. College basketball, I would enjoy that experience.
Oh,
Like,
so it's
if you-
just doing the thing that you actually do that makes you miserable.
lately, yeah. Lately, yeah. They could change that, but yeah. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in. The Titans' trenches in 2025. They're doing a lot of legwork there in free agency. We'll talk about it coming up next.
We are out here at the SEC tournament. Oh, it feels so close. March Madness, it's already here, and Hattie B's is your answer to fuel your watch parties, whether it's for the SEC championship game on Sunday or for the NCAA tournament starting next week. Hattie B's has got you covered. In fact, this week through the 16th, Hattie B's is doing free delivery through the app or online at HattieB.com. That's right. Go onto the app. You get a free dessert just by doing so and order Hattie B's straight to your house or office. Free delivery. Hattie B's, a family-run restaurant serving up your favorite Southern food and authentic Nashville hot chicken. You know it is the best in the world. Let them feed your watch party. Visit any one of their 7 locations in Middle Tennessee, the factory at Franklin, Lower Broadway, Melrose, Midtown, Nashville West, Nashville Airport. And again, download the Hattie B's app today. Delivery free until Sunday.
Welcome back to the show. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. SEC Tournament Day 2 about to get underway here in just a little bit. I can't believe you don't want to go to this Dua Lipa show with me. Shame on you. Shame on you, really.
Well, you didn't even know about it till I brought it up to you.
That's right. And then I decided I want to go, and you said, no, I got that. What do you have to do that's more important than a Dua Lipa show in Atlanta?
it falls on the day of the Tennessee-Georgia game. So, unfortunately,
I don't think that's more important than
as
Dua
much
Lipa.
as I love Dua Lipa, that is just not a plausible situation.
Well, we will see who dances the night away here at Bridgestone Arena. Other conference tournaments getting ready to get going here in just a second. I'm sure the show will take a turn once Indiana tips off against Oregon here in about 20 minutes from now. That's not going to be great for me, but it'll be good for the audience to experience my pain and suffering. What is not going to cause you pain and suffering in 2025, at the very least on paper, is your offensive line group. And that got a lot better yesterday with Kevin Zeitler. Dan Moore, ironically enough, is probably the worst player on that offensive line, and that's okay because he's solid. And if you would just get the Titans to solid, that would make you feel appreciably better about their offensive line group. So Zeitler comes in here to play right guard on a 1-year, $9 million deal. He's 35 years old, so it probably means you're still going to draft interior offensive line at some point if the board falls in your favor.
He's going to be 36 by he just turned 35.
Just turned 35.
5 days ago.
I think that there are a couple of different ways to look at this. One, so let's
We do care.
We do care.
do we? You hardly know him.
I love
Bert,
him.
Well, Bert, he's played for you before, so of course you love him, Kevin Zeitler. So this was a couple of years ago that he was with the Baltimore Ravens. Obviously, his most recent stop was Detroit, and Detroit did well to kind of plug some of the holes that free agency cost them with their offensive line group 2 years ago. What did you enjoy about the Kevin Zeitler experience, and what do you expect him to be able to do at this advanced age?
He's just a good old-fashioned football dude, man. He played through, like, minor injuries with the Ravens. I think he missed, like, 2 games or something like that over 3 years. Just a consistent guy, great on both sides of the ball, whether it's pass blocking, run blocking. He's great in both those areas, and just a solid locker room guy. So, I mean, he's going to be great for that room, be great for Peter Skoronski. Visually, they kind of look the same, so I'd love to get like a father-son photo at training camp this year if possible.
Skoronski and Zeitler?
Yes, I would love to just have them stand side by side and be like a father-son duo.
See, I think Zeitler looks like a fat Dan Campbell.
Whoa, hey.
What?
Hey, don't talk about him like that. Just because you're not fat anymore doesn't mean you can fat shame offensive linemen.
It worked for me.
Zeitler would run circles around you.
Oh, no, for sure.
Line them up.
Should I
I'd
say
love to see him pick you up like Hulk Hogan over his head and just throw you into oblivion.
like a shot put.
Tune into training camp. Usually there's a pretty high percentage chance somebody might pick me up and throw me. during
He
training
is perpetually available. It is a theme that continues with all of these moves. To Robert's point, he missed 2 games in each of the 2 years he was in Baltimore, but still 15 games played, 23 and 24. And he only missed 1 last season with Detroit. So pretty impressive stuff.
Xavier Woods, Dan Moore, Kevin Zeitler, Draymond Jones, who they signed last night while Bert and I were doing primetime, which is probably my favorite signing of the offseason so far, and we can dive into that. Did you talk about Draymond Jones much to start?
We just highlighted those moves.
Okay.
They, for the most part, the moves that we've seen just in the last 24 hours all have to do with the front 7 and the offensive line, which is another thing they told us they were going to do, is prioritize the trenches, and they've done that.
And by the way, they don't have to stop just in free agency, right? Like, I know the list is dwindling, and there's probably, I think, 6 or 7, depending on which top 50 or top 100 list you're looking at, there's probably 7 to 10 players left that would fit that category based on who they have been throughout the course of their career. And I'm totally okay with addressing the immediate in free agency and then drafting long-term solutions, which I do not think Kevin Zeitler or Draymond Jones precludes them from doing. I like the 3 deals that I like the most, and I guess we could rank them. The 3 deals that I like the most for the Titans, I like the Xavier Woods deal the most. 2 years, $5 million, or 2 years, $10 million, $5 a year for a player like that, who maybe not a lot of people have seen, because I don't know how many people are grinding the Panthers tape here in the last couple of years for obvious reasons. But he's a good player. He's a good player. He fits need. He's an above-average athlete. To pair with Amani Hooker, I think that's going to work nicely, and especially with the retention of Mike Brown, I feel good about the solidifying of the Titans secondary, assuming that L'Jarius Sneed and Chidobe Awuzie can be more available in year 2 than they were in year 1 on this roster. So Xavier Woods, my favorite deal, then Draymond Jones, then Kevin Zeitler. And the only reason Zeitler's third on that list is because he's 35. That's for sure just a one-year solution, and that's fine. Again, we've talked about the way that Washington constructed their roster last year. Now, what put Washington over the top?
Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels, but also they nailed their draft. Because it's not just the first round, right? You have more layers to build out a team than just the first round. Of course, the quarterback helps the most and carries the most significance out of any of that. But the thing that put them over the top in year one that way was nailing the draft along with supplementary moves in the precursor to the draft in free agency. We've talked about Zach Ertz. We've talked about Bobby Wagner. We've talked about
Austin
couple of
Eckler,
the
like
deals
those guys
that they've done, right? Solid veterans players that may not be at the peak of their powers anymore, but are good locker room presences and can satisfy. They're solid football players, right? What you've added is a collection of solid football players that doesn't have the sex appeal of last year, but that's fine. Sexy got you to 3-14. You're going to have to do a lot better than that in 2025. So with all these things that you have at your disposal and the draft yet ahead with currently 8 draft picks, we'll see what happens. And I still think it's trending towards Cam Ward, but we'll wait until April, 25th, 26th, the first night of the draft. We will see what happens there. But solid, not sexy. Solid, not suck. Solid, not sexy is the way to define the Titans free agent class, and I am totally okay with that.
I mean, you're totally okay with it now because of the Zeitler and Jones move? Because yesterday you were ready to fire everything into the sun.
Yeah, they signed 2 of the best players, 2 deals after we got done with the show.
Okay. That's why they say keep your powder dry, right? Like, moves will continue to come in. They probably have...
Why can new information not allow me to adjust my opinion?
Okay, yes, but making blanket opinions about what a team has done or is doing in free agency.
Like, they went from sucks to solid in day one.
Yes. So once we let it play out a little bit, and they've brought in some quality. Now, the roster still has a ton of work to do. They don't have any edge rushers.
Being overreactionary?
Yes, something like that.
Speaking of solid, not sexy, what is that photo behind you, Buck?
It's Kirby's drawing of me, apparently.
It was the missing person drawing that Kirby drew up very quickly.
Can you zoom in on that for the Zone TV audience? Because this is going to be a visual bit for the vast majority of people who are listening on FM radio.
It is fantastic.
It's really well done. It's really well done.
It's probably the best picture of me that's ever been taken.
I love that it looks like you have Princess Leia hair buns on the side of your head, but now I realize they're headphones.
Can you get close enough on the
no, it's
TV
grainy
camera?
and terrible. It looks like a wanted poster from like the 1800s. But
I mean, I can get it and hold it up a little closer.
Please, yes, put it right beside your head.
Well, no, Joseph, don't hold it up in front of the camera now because
please
zoomed
do.
in. So zoom back to the regular view, Bert, and then
don't tell me what to do. You're not the director here.
I'm the closest thing that you've got. So
I just need you to hold it beside your
head.
head. Just hold that photo beside your head.
I will do that a little later on.
Only one of us was 10 minutes late to the show today.
I wasn't 10 minutes late. I was
9 minutes late, and then started blaming everybody except yourself for being 9 minutes late.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I need that. I want that. I need it framed.
You want it framed?
No one throw that away. That needs to come back to me to go into the official Buck Rising historian folder.
Historian folder. Are you going to write my autobiography here in the next couple of years?
You may not like it, but yes.
I think I'd like it. I think I'd enjoy it. Just anything about me, I enjoy.
What's impressive
good, bad,
is
or indifferent.
just how quickly he drew it up. It took him like 2 minutes.
Kirby's a good artist.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is hardly his best work.
Multi-talented.
I think if we gave him some street chalk and sent him out onto the sidewalk on Broadway, he could draw a full, not diorama, what do they call a mural?
Oh, yeah.
Basically on Broadway. At this point in time. The only thing that I would critique is that looks too fat at this point. That's the only criticism I have of Kirby's artwork there.
But he nailed the
scowl
expression, the disdain.
He got the scowl right.
The constant furrowed brow.
Well, yeah, that's because the Botox has it frozen in place.
Yeah.
So this is a terrible bit for those of you listening on radio, but if you're watching on Zone TV, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, you can see Kirby's fantastic artwork, and I will get it framed, and that's what you'll get, Bert, instead of a Christmas bonus.
I'll allow it.
If anything, Robert has more control over who gets bonuses than you do.
There is 0% chance that Robert has anything to do with money.
Oh,
in
I forgot
Cumulus
about this.
Nashville.
It's triple
B, baby. Add another B, quadruple B for Big Boss Burt bonuses.
So, coming up next, the importance of the Titans' backup quarterback. Their backup quarterback last year decided that he was not interested in returning. So what's left? I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
11:03, good morning from the SEC Tournament at Bridgestone Arena. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Titans made some moves on Wednesday, bringing in free agent defensive lineman Draymond Jones on a one-year, $10 million deal. Jones had 4 sacks for the Seahawks last season. They also signed veteran right guard Kevin Zeitler on a one-year, $9 million deal. The team also shipped linebacker Kenneth Murray to the Dallas Cowboys and sent them a 7th-round pick as well in exchange for a 6th-rounder in return. And Mason Rudolph will not be retained by the Tennessee Titans. The veteran backup quarterback heads back to Pittsburgh, where he signs a 2-year deal with the Steelers. SEC tournament action today at Bridgestone. The first game at noon Central, Arkansas taking on Ole Miss for the right to face 1-seed Auburn in the quarterfinals. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
So free agency is going to continue. It technically just started yesterday, but the signings, for the most part, the big ones, are all but done. We're happy to have you here for the second hour from Bridgestone Arena. The SEC tournament is getting ready to get underway. The Big Ten tournament is getting ready to tip off, which means that my attention span is going to be diminished because Indiana is the first game up. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in there. We'd be happy to have you. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch is where you can watch the show if you're so inclined. Names like Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, Marcus Mariota, now Mason Rudolph are all officially off the board, and there is no question, or there has been no question in our minds, that the Titans need to sign a veteran backup quarterback. But, Lucas, the further that we get to this, and it doesn't mean that they can't or won't, it is interesting, though, that people are choosing other more competitive options despite the Titans having a clear opportunity here, and also it being difficult to sell other free agents on opportunities here without having at least something in place at quarterback that's not named Will Levis, but that's the thing that they have under contract right now. The only quarterback on this roster under contract is Will Levis, so we have considered him all but out. Do we at some point have to consider Will Levis as a viable backup quarterback option here? Were they serious about just bringing someone in here to compete with him? He's cost effective. That doesn't mean that you should keep him just because of that. And I'm still a proponent of trading him for a team that needs draft capital, because I think somebody in the NFL would take a chance on Will Levis, even as last year was an abject, unmitigated disaster, top to bottom, for that quarterback, due to injury, due to performance, due to everything else that went down for Will Levis in 2024. But at some point, we're going to have to start talking about him as a realistic option, because he's the only option that they are currently in a contract situation with.
Yeah, it sounds like they tried to keep Mason Rudolph, and that doesn't happen. And, now you go down the list. Gardner Minshew is out there. Joe Flacco is, over 40, but out there. Jameis Winston, Carson Wentz. Case Keenum, right? I don't think Keenum has officially hung it up in retirement yet. He's 37 years old. Cooper Rush. These are all unrestricted free agents. Brandon Allen has been a competent backup quarterback in the NFL for years now. So there are still guys out there. Brian Callahan has worked with Brandon Allen, correct? He was a backup in Cincinnati at one point. So I'm not ready to punt on the veteran quarterback market just yet and say, well, looks like all roads lead to Levis being the backup, assuming they do take Cam Ward.
Well, that's because you're trying to avoid all roads that might lead to Levis.
Yeah, which
understandably so.
Yeah, that's kind of the premise we've been operating under this offseason. But there is value to the backup quarterback. But again, this is why I wanted us to keep our powder dry on the Carson Wentz thing here, because end of the day, it does matter who the backup is. For example, in Washington, there's no question Marcus Mariota had an incredibly positive effect on Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
You saw the sideline talks. It was a good fit, too, for when Daniels did miss a game, and Marcus won them a game starting last year. So Marcus checked all those boxes for Washington. You'd love to have somebody like that here, but at the end of the day, let's say the Titans were to bring in Carson Wentz, and then panic ensues among the fan base to be the backup quarterback to Cam Ward. It matters, but not as much as the reaction would prompt. Because what will Mike Borgonzi, Chad Brinker, this whole regime be judged on? Will they be judged on how good of a backup Carson Wentz is, or on what happens with Cam Ward, assuming they were to pick Cam Ward with the number 1 pick?
Of course, what happens with Cam Ward.
Yeah, so I think there has been an overreaction from the jump to the Wentz thing the moment it was, now Wentz as the stopgap in 2025, and you don't draft a quarterback, totally different story. But I do think there is value to it, but I don't think any backup quarterback signing should prompt a freak out. This is decided on how good Cam Ward is for the Titans if Cam Ward is selected by the Titans.
But Lucas, it means that they have to draft Cam Ward.
I agree.
And that was not a given.
No.
What, a week ago, 2 weeks ago? Everything was still up in the air, and they were still prioritizing trying to trade. Mm-hmm. Now, but
we have new information.
We do, and we are allowed to adapt opinions based on new information, as everybody should. The degree of difficulty, though, you're not going to be able to soothe this fan base. The only thing that's going to soothe this fan base is winning more football games. And not just, winning more than you did last year, but an appreciable difference in the quality of football that is being produced, right? They can't win 5 games, be like, we got better, and sell that to the fan base. People are going to be angsty about this no matter what they do, except for drafting Cam Ward, because that would buy them grace with the fan base. Now, the fan base is not the important part of this to buy grace with. It's the ownership. And I think it almost has the inverse effect. And you tell me if you feel differently about this. But I think that for a fan base, drafting Cam Ward would calm things down. For an owner, though, that would amp things up to say, all right, well, you drafted him number 1 overall. Let's see him. What do you mean he's not going to play right away? What do you mean he's not going to be your starter right out of the gate? If that is the approach that they choose to take. So I think you're working at this from 2 different perceptions. One, how fans are thinking about their roster construction and their current administration, and more importantly, how the ownership thinks about all of these things that are going down. Because, as we've said, all of these things that they've said matter for the time being until she decides that she doesn't want to be patient anymore and pulls something like the last 3 seasons.
That is the wild card in all of this. We saw it with the Panthers, right? You knew when they drafted Bryce Young, the Panthers were never going to be good in 2023. And Frank Reich is out of there after 1 year. Bryce Young was terrible in his rookie year. The Panthers were dreadful, were the worst team in the NFL, and we saw what happened. So, yeah, that's 100% the wild card. But I'm just saying, if the Titans were to bring in Carson Wentz or whatever backup quarterback that the fan base doesn't approve of, and there's this big freak out, let's just keep our powder dry. Because then if they draft Cam Ward, that doesn't matter. It does matter, but in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't. Cam Ward is what matters, and how that works out and how that looks in his rookie year.
It's timely that Mike Giardi of the Boston Sports Journal texted us both. Did you see the group text he put us in?
I'm seeing it now.
11:03, he texted us, is it wrong that I'm low-key rooting for a Wentz-Levis quarterback battle for you guys? And I sent him back several expletive-filled texts to that effect. Thank you, Michael.
Last time he was on, I asked him who is going to beat out Drake May, Joe Milton, or Joshua Dobbs now is in the mix.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that works.
I feel like Buck has hated on Wentz so much that I am in favor of it as well.
You're in
but
on
now
Carson
that you
Wentz
have
now?
no, but here you say that now because this is kind of like Lucas chastising me for saying, "Oh well, wouldn't it be funny if Malik Willis came in here in Week 3 and beat the Tennessee Titans?" Not me at the time knowing that they would not win but 3 games all year long, and that one moment of comedic irony would be washed away in the misery that was 2024. But you're stuck with me now. So if I'm miserable all year, that is going to infect everything that we do.
if I could quote Cheyenne, you're like letting other people affect your energy. So I'm just going to have to channel my inner Cheyenne and not let that bother me. And also, who doesn't want another ginger in town? Big Ginge up top. Come on, bring Carson Wentz in. Chief Ginge. Look at
he's
that
a
dude.
ginger.
And an
Have you ever
avid
seen
hunter.
Carson Wentz?
Avid fisher. Are you sure you know
Doesn't
the
he have
man
a
that's
buzz
hating
cut?
on you?
Buck's probably picturing like Joe Flacco.
You
or
can
something.
still be a ginger and have a buzz cut. What do you
I mean, how am I supposed to tell?
He's got facial hair. Have you
Okay,
ever
but there's
seen
plenty,
this man?
there are plenty of people.
Hold
I'm
on.
going to look it up.
This whole time I've been hating Brock Osweiler.
Do you know who Carson Wentz is?
Can you pick him out of a lineup? Don't Google him. We can do
He
this.
just did.
Dadgummit.
that looks.
That's not Carson Wentz.
So obviously a ginger.
Okay, but your hair, you are a ginger. Your hair color is different than Carson Wentz's hair color.
It's
very
pretty
close.
similar.
It's very close.
No, it's not at all.
Are you?
I'm
you
looking
colorblind?
I might be. That'd be a funny way to find out if I was red green colorblind or something like that.
He was like, he has gray facial hair. What do you mean?
He looks like he's 110.
Am I secretly a dog? Who knows?
615-737-1045 is the number. So, if I pose a question to the audience, all right, Titans fans, you survived a year of Will Levis. Survived maybe is not the operative word. But is he a viable option for you in your quarterback room in 2025, pending how the rest of free agency and the draft plays out? 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to chime in. We can take your phone calls on that. Lucas also has NFL headlines. I'm Buck Rising, live from the SEC tournament here at Bridgestone Arena. It's 104.5 The Zone. Will I have enough money when I retire? When should I start to draw from Social Security? If these questions keep you up at night, let me introduce you to the team that's there to keep you on the right track and guide you through it. That's Trajan Wealth, Trajan Wealth, not just any financial firm. They're your partners in securing your financial future. And they're more than just a fiduciary firm. They're a family-owned, veteran-led team that puts your needs first. Let their decades of experience specializing in retirement planning and wealth management work for you. Trajan Wealth offers free consultations to help you develop your plan and your peace of mind. So get that comfort today and call them. That's 615-270-5000. That's 615-270-5000, or visit them online at TrajanWealth.com. Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. This is a paid advertisement. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. We're hanging out here at Bridgestone Arena for the SEC Tournament. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in. Now, normally we would have music that indicated NFL headlines, but since Bert is not up to speed, I guess, we're going to do it this way. You have headlines? Oh, damn it. You're a jerk.
It's time for NFL headlines and free agency updates with Lucas Panzica.
Adam Schefter, this was not at the top of my list of headlines, but I did just read this because we were talking about it this morning, Robert, before I made my way over to Bridgestone. After being released by the 49ers, free agent Pro Bowl fullback Kyle Juszczyk is meeting today with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Boo. Oh, I mean, dang
What?
it. No, I caught myself. I can't do that anymore.
What do you mean you can't do
It,
that
it doesn't matter. Ramon's not here to hear me crapping on the Steelers, so I mean, there's no benefit for me doing that.
That's right.
Sorry,
There was
old
a
habits die
RKW
hard.
bit that has been carried over. Yes, he just instinctively with Ramon would,
Oh, I thought he was just doing it
would
because
boo
he's
the
a Ravens
Steelers.
fan.
Well, yes, that is also why he does it. But we were talking about that today. Lisa Manning of Nash Icon came over because her husband is a diehard 49ers fan.
She had a lot of fullback thoughts, did she?
She did. They were very upset about the Niners letting go of Kyle Juszczyk. He was a fan favorite in San Francisco, and it got us talking. Like, what is a good fit for Kyle Juszczyk? That's a conversation that's hard to have. Like, what team needs a fullback out there? But
Well-
the Steelers will meet with him today.
All right, so it means two things to me. It means, one, that Kyle Shanahan is – like, Kyle Shanahan's offense without Deebo Samuel and Kyle Juszczyk is going to look different.
Very different.
Like, they are going to have to adapt. And, Kyle Shanahan is one of the most well-regarded offensive minds in football, so would not be shocking to see him make adaptations and be able to succeed. And he's still got skill players there, and he's still got his quarterback, though the contract for Brock Purdy is something that we're all waiting on. So it means two things to me. It means, one, that San Francisco is going to look a lot different in 2025, and it means that Arthur Smith is doubling down at Pittsburgh. A fullback with receiving capabilities. I mean, the Titans never really had that. It's not like Kari Blasingame was a utility type of player, but he wasn't what
not that
Juszczyk
kind of
is.
no, or like a Ricard. He wasn't that type of fullback.
Yeah, and who was the guy that they had from LSU for a hot second? The mullet, Torrey something. I can't remember his name. Either way, Torrey Carter. Thank you, Robert.
That's right.
Torrey Carter. So, like, it's a different. Juszczyk is different from a lot of fullbacks, right? He's basically as much tight end as he is fullback, and he's deployed in a variety of different ways. So for Pittsburgh, that's an interesting signing. Are they just signing DK Metcalf and George Pickens to block? Because adding a fullback, and again, they're being held hostage by the quarterback situation. When are we going to play this Adam Schefter sound or this Ian Rappaport sound? We have both, yes?
Yes, I mean, we will talk about Aaron Rodgers as he makes everybody wait. We'll talk about
Again.
that in the noon hour because we're not anticipating any breaking Aaron Rodgers news between now and the noon hour.
Which means, of course, it'll happen at some point today.
Yes, as he makes us all wait. But in quarterback news that has actually happened, as we hit on at the top of the show, Mason Rudolph is back in Pittsburgh, a 2-year, $8 million deal. Mac Jones going to San Francisco on a 2-year, $7 million deal. So the Niners had both Brandon Allen and Joshua Dobbs in their quarterback room last year. Both of those players free agents. Dobbs lands in New England. Allen still out there. And they bring in Mac Jones. So could this be, because, Buck, what was the pit stop Sam Darnold made before going to Minnesota?
San Fran.
Yeah, 1 year in San Fran as the backup to Brock Purdy. So could this be, I mean, if you're Mac Jones, that's pretty good mold to follow, right? Is Mac Jones just doing the Sam Darnold thing? You make one pit stop for a bad team playing for the Jags. You get some games. You start some games for an injured quarterback as Lawrence goes down. And then you go make the 1 year pit stop in San Francisco to get to work under Kyle Shanahan. And then hopefully from there, find your spot to be one of these reclamation projects.
Kyle Shanahan has talked about this. You remember how much, I mean, because we were doing the radio show for this draft or around this draft time. That would have been, the first year of the radio show, 2021, was that draft class with those 5 first-round quarterbacks? Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence. all those dudes.
Yeah.
It was heavily rumored that Kyle Shanahan was interested in Mac Jones with the 3rd overall pick. And they I can't remember exactly where the Niners were picking at the time, but they then traded up to 3 and ultimately ended up going with Trey Lance. Kyle Shanahan has talked pretty openly. I don't know if you've read the book or I don't know if it's quite a book, but Jordan Rodrigue of The Athletic does a lot of great journalism for The Athletic specific to the NFL, and she did a podcast series called The Play Callers, where she interviewed LaFleur and Shanahan and McVay and things like that. Kyle Shanahan has talked openly about how he kind of second-guessed himself on Mac Jones and went for Trey Lance.
Mike Silver wrote a book about that.
That's what it is.
It's from the Shanahan coaching tree. LaFleur. I mean, so many coaches.
Silver wrote the book. Rodrigue did the podcast.
Yes,
okay.
and he did talk about how bought in on Mac Jones he was in the draft, and he talked himself out of it and talked himself into
Trey Lance,
trading multiple first-round picks to go up and get Trey Lance. So here is Kyle Shanahan trying to make good on what was his initial instinct in that 2021 draft to draft Mac Jones, which they obviously did not end up doing.
Yeah, because it's a good – I mean, listen, nobody expects Brock Purdy to lose his job in San Francisco. They're talking about paying him big money. But if for whatever reason Brock Purdy's production falls off significantly because they've lost Debo, they've lost Juszczyk, they're going to change things up in the offense. Maybe he is such a good mind meld with Kyle Shanahan that doesn't matter. But this is Kyle Shanahan hedging his bets with a quarterback that he believed in out of the gate and believes that he can probably rehabilitate. And it makes a lot of sense for Mac Jones, who is looking to be the next quarterback reclamation project, the way that we've talked about Zach Wilson, Trey Lance. Well, not really Trey Lance, but Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, or Daniel Jones also in that category as well, and he will have opportunities in Indianapolis, Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
So I like the fit. It makes more sense for Mac Jones than anywhere else he would have gone.
Yeah. Daniel Jones definitely has more opportunity in Indianapolis.
Oh, sure.
That is a straight-up open quarterback competition, but no, I'm with you. It is a great landing spot for Mac Jones if the Sam Darnold trajectory is any indication. The LA Rams have released wide receiver Cooper Kupp, so that's official. We figured they were going down that path when they said they were going to trade him, and the reports were if they couldn't find a trade partner, they were going to let him go. They do let him go. He missed 5 games last season. He's missed 5 games each of the last couple of seasons, but 710 yards, 6 touchdowns. He was productive when he was available last year, and we know the Rams signed Devontae Adams to come in and play opposite Puka Nacua, a signing which I think I love, by the way, for Matt Stafford and the Rams.
Oh, it's really good.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp will be 32 in June.
Cosell and I talked about, we did a podcast this morning, by the way, The Install with Greg Cosell. You can check it out. We talked about the Draymond Jones signing. We talked about the Titans offensive line signings. We talked about Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, and Devontae Adams, and what the Patriots did, because the Patriots obviously had the most cap space, and they added a lot of different kinds of players in this free agency process. I am not interested in 32-year-old Cooper Kupp.
No,
the Tennessee Titans.
Not even at a good price.
What's a good price?
It's a great question. I'll be curious.
If Tutu Atwell got $10 million a year
for 1 year, fully
I
guaranteed.
don't think I would want Cooper Kupp at $10 million.
I think there's worse
for this
options
team
for a young quarterback.
There are worse options for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think Cooper Kupp can still play, man.
But he's not out there, and that would run so counter to the signings that they've made, Lucas.
Yes.
Every other player that they've added, whether it's Woods or Moore or Zeitler or Draymond Jones, they are imminently available throughout the course of their career. Cooper Kupp's last couple of years, since wasn't he the most valuable? Wasn't he the MVP of that Super Bowl they won?
Did he win MVP of the
Bert,
game?
you might fact check me on that. I want to say that Cooper Kupp was the MVP of that game.
He was excellent. No, you're right. I mean, I agree. I would be surprised simply because of that trend of availability with every player they've brought in. He does not fit that. Although I really like Cooper Kupp as an option for a young quarterback to lean on. Titans don't really have much of that right now.
Calvin Ridley is 30 years old, going to be 31.
It's Calvin Ridley and Van Jefferson right now.
And Van Jefferson is not a good player at this stage of his career.
So just because of how big a need it is and how I think beneficial it could be if he's healthy, I'm not against Cooper Kupp to Nashville, but I agree I would be surprised because of the availability aspect.
I want them to draft a wide receiver. And I saw a couple of people bring this up, and, I don't know if it's coping or actual analysis, but are we giving enough credence to Bryce Oliver on the Titans roster?
Probably not. Yeah, I mean,
He
he's gonna
started
get,
to make a couple of plays down the stretch.
Oh,
but
he's going to
I mean,
get every opportunity.
you know, their games were meaningless, so you started to discount a lot of things about what the Titans were doing, and certainly, I mean, basically past October after that fact. But as things started to dwindle and guys like Jaquan Jackson became healthy scratches and you had really nothing else, Traylon Burks went on injured reserve, Bryce Oliver is an option for the Titans in that wide receiver room. I mean, he's here now. So we'll see how real that might be.
He's going to get every opportunity to make this roster, but we can't go into 2025 talking about counting on a Bryce Oliver breakout year in his second year as a UDFA out of what was it, Youngstown State?
I'll go double check. That sounds right.
So we talked a little bit about the Titans' offensive line, the projected starting offensive line in 2025, which looks good on paper. Now,
Always looks good on paper.
that's not true. There have been many points in the last couple of years where it has looked awful on paper.
Oh, no, there's plenty of people that talk themselves into last year on paper.
Oh, sure. No, for sure. But it looks a lot better on paper. The big question mark is in the middle with Lloyd Cushenberry coming back from the Achilles. I don't know if the Titans are going to look to add another center to compete there to try and hold it down if Cushenberry can't go out of the gates. But the Patriots have just released 8-time captain, 2-time Super Bowl champion, who should be a Patriots legend, David Andrews. He will be 33 in July, and the veteran center is a free agent.
Yeah, but he's a starter.
Yes, he is.
So he's not going to come here to back up or to be Lloyd Cushenberry for a couple of weeks if Lloyd Cushenberry can't start the season.
I wouldn't think so.
Okay. Daniel Brunskill. So here's what the plan should be for the Titans. And I don't know if we mentioned this on the show or maybe I brought it up last night on primetime. I can't remember where I said it. But maybe I said it on both for all I know. I really wish Lloyd Cushenberry wouldn't have put like, hey, I'm planning on being ready to go by training camp. I really wish he wouldn't have done that to himself. It's kind of like Isaiah Bond going up there at the combine and saying, yeah, I'll run a 4.2 or a 4.1. I'll break the record. And then he ran a 4.3. And you're like, all right. You put that expectation on yourself, and now people are going to use it against you. And I'm not saying that, I appreciate Lloyd Cushenberry's enthusiasm. I appreciate, that he's probably going to do everything in his power to be available. But I don't want Lloyd Cushenberry as soon as humanly possible. I want the best version of Lloyd Cushenberry.
Yep.
Because he had the worst year of his career since his rookie season last year. And part of that is because of Will Levis, and part of that is because of I don't think Peter Skoronski's a good player yet. Maybe he becomes one. I know Dylan Radins is not a good player, a good NFL player at this point in his career. Perhaps he can become one at some point. But Lloyd Cushenberry certainly wasn't helped by either of the things that he had on his side. So you have options here. Corey Levin can play both guard and center. He is also an unrestricted free agent. Daniel Brunskill can play both guard and center. He is an unrestricted free agent. Levin is here. He has a family here. Maybe that's an easier situation to kind of plug and play as a backup center / guard, because you're looking for utility. That's why they work out a lot of the interior offensive linemen at the combine, both at guard and center, just to showcase, all right, can you do this? Should we call upon you? And we need a little utility out of our backup guard or our backup center. Can you fill in both spots and do it at a reasonably high level, at a backup caliber level? I would imagine Brunskill's getting, later in his career at this point in time. I would imagine he would want to go and play for a team that projects to be more successful than this one did. And, I think he held it down as best he could. Daniel Brunskill is not good at any one position, but that he can play multiple positions makes him an asset. So, Levin, Brunskill, there are other players who will be out there at a lesser price than David Andrews, but David Andrews is probably going to go somewhere to start. That's a Super Bowl champion, even if he is 33.
For sure. Robert, we have callers?
Yeah, we got Gary in Lebanon who would like to trade Buck. Gary, what's going on? What's your trade proposition?
What you got?
My trade proposition is we trade Buck to the Patriots for a bag of chips and some good attitude.
Oh.
Okay, are you going to just listen to Lucas eat chips for 3 hours a day? You could.
I'm interested in that.
Hey, that's not nice. You can't do that.
Hey,
what do you mean?
Don't talk about Lucas eating those chips.
Lucas eating chips, there is nothing that would stop Lucas from eating those chips. Titans fans would not get any dividends from the chips. And good attitude, then who else would you bitch at?
Good attitude is a need on this show. It would fill a big need.
Well, what are you doing?
I am.
Get to it, good attitude.
I'm not.
Uplift.
It is hard to do. You are like an anchor around our legs, bringing us down into the misery.
Well, that's fitting, given the football team that I cover.
Case
he
in
can't
point
even
right
help
there.
it. Right. He just,
Wait.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Okay, yeah, let me be sunshine and rainbows about a 3-14 football team.
It's a beautiful
That'll
day.
fix it.
They aren't anything right now. They're 0-0 right now.
Yeah, okay.
I think
I will circle back in November and we will check the record. We'll see how much uplifting they've done. I'll make you a deal. What was the caller's name?
He's gone.
Okay, I don't
Gary.
care. What was it? Gary. Okay, Gary. I will make you a deal. Once your football team starts to have a better product, I will start to have a better attitude.
I am
Deal?
I am appreciating just how much you are entrenching Gary's point here. You're just making him sound. The trade sounds more and more appealing. We got Mike Giardi texting us.
You don't think
about
I know how awful I sound these last 3 years? I'm aware. All right. I'm not interested in being miserable all the time. I'm not interested in covering miserable football, as is reflected in my attitude. So once the football starts to get better, I'll get better.
Oh man, it's going to be a rough couple of years
Yeah.
right here. Good attitude, big need.
Get to it.
Big need
Uplift.
around here. The chips. Now maybe that would be better, just eating chips on the air for 3 hours.
I mean, I would enjoy that more.
You are the one that has been caught on camera stuffing your face with chips at the combine more recently than I have.
Okay, well, if I did that to Jackson, how many more food items would we catch Jackson shoveling into his craw?
Okay, rule number 1 now is we have to, if we're going to attack Buck, we have to sneak attack him because he just gets super defensive as soon as anyone says anything disparaging. So next time we want to railroad him,
You want next, Bert?
no callers.
You want next?
No callers come in. Me and Lucas just have to plan guerrilla warfare to hide and plan and be Charlie in the trees for the situation, or Buck is just going to be like, go ahead. Uplift them! Make these people happy! Are
Duck.
you not entertained?
Duck Falling on YouTube says, front-running Buck Rising. Yeah, that's right. I never hit that, ever in my life. I would rather cover good things than bad things.
Yeah, but can we just cover them? Like, let's just let's just talk about them.
No,
Why do-
it is impossible for me to not let how I feel about things impact the way that I talk about them for 3 hours a day.
But we have
I
to be able
appreciate
to
that
do
you're
it in a different way.
The best thing
man.
that you could do is read the next headline and make me talk about something else in the NFL.
And on the F&M Bank chat wants to know what kind of chips would be involved in the trade.
I mean, it would have to be something like at least
kettle cooked.
kettle cooked, or I'm on a salt and vinegar, sea salt and vinegar chip kick lately. Those are the highest evolution of the potato chip.
It has
as
to
far
be a
as I'm concerned.
family size bag as well.
Well, that's just because you don't want
Yeah.
Lucas to eat all the chips and you want to share.
Yes.
I would like to split some.
Okay, as long as we're being honest about things. All right, what's the next NFL headline?
That's it.
Oh, God. All right. 615-737-1045 is the number. If you would like to jump in at any point, you can try and trade me for something else if you would like. F&M Bank Chat, also at your disposal. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. Speaking of things that at least are trending in the right direction, my favorite signing that you made happened last night at about 7:30, 8 o'clock. And we had Greg Cosell do the podcast this morning, breaking down Draymond Jones, the newest Titans defensive lineman. We'll give you some analysis on that coming up next. Welcome back to the show. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken and also Sour Patch Kids. Because Joseph, providing the first contribution to the radio show ever, we stole the Sour Patch Kids, and we're very happy about that.
Joseph has contributed before.
To the radio show?
Yeah.
In what way, shape, or form?
Oh, help me out, Joseph.
Help me out. He said.
I think Joseph's the one who whipped up that graphic, the Spelling Bee Champ graphic. I appreciated that. Which was the show graphic when you were out.
Okay, so things that I don't care about for 100, Alex.
Yes.
615-737-1045 is the number. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch if you want to hang out with us on Zone TV. So, building through the trenches in free agency or supplementing your build through the trenches in free agency, that's what the Titans are doing right now. And so as they continue to work their way through that process, they've made a handful of signings, but one in particular that caught my attention yesterday, I mean, obviously, because we were doing Primetime Live, so we got to react to it live, Bert and I last night, is Draymond Jones, the former Seattle defensive lineman and former Broncos defensive lineman that signed here on a one-year, $10 million deal, first reported by, I believe, Adam Schefter. So, why I like the deal is because I've seen this player play against the Titans, and the Titans have had bad offensive line situations, so maybe he looks better. But I've seen a good amount of Draymond Jones in his career, and I did not like the way that Seattle deployed him last year because I felt he was out of position. Because I saw a lot of feedback like, oh, he's not good. I've watched a bunch of Seahawks games. He doesn't make an impact. Well, they were playing him as an interior pass rusher, and he did that in college, but it's different at the NFL level, especially when you're somebody who's primarily lined up as an edge player. Now, whether he will be an edge player, whether they will deploy him in packages that see him get a little rush on the interior, NASCAR packages, for example, whether they'll stand him up in certain looks and have him play outside linebacker, remains to be seen. But I like the signing, and we talked this morning. Cosell just gave us a brief overview because, of course, we're saving the good stuff, the tape cut-ups, for Greg to analyze with you guys live on May the 2nd when Greg flies in and we do the live show, the install with Greg Cosell at the Hutton Hotel in the Analog Room. Tickets now available at 1045thezone.com. This was Cosell earlier this morning.
I always, when he came out of Ohio State, he was an inside pass rusher and a really good one. Quick, dynamic. To me, that's kind of who he is, but he can play on the outside. They did that with him in Seattle. We'll see how they choose to use him. He may end up being an outside linebacker here. Again, all this remains to be seen. Obviously, they lost Harold Landry, which they didn't have a problem with. They pretty much said, see you later. We'll see how all this plays out. Again, we're only in March. There's a draft to go. Clearly, they were not big fans of Kenneth Murray because he's gone. We'll see. It's very hard now. And again, that's the fun of this because it's an ongoing process. So it's never ending. There could be more signings. There's a draft. We just don't know exactly how this is going to work out.
So, Cosell likes the player if he's deployed in the right setting. And the question is, how will they end up deploying Draymond Jones? Now, obviously, we don't know that from the standpoint of Denard Wilson and all the other pieces, to Greg's point about how they're going to implement these things, because there's still other questions that need to be answered. We still think they need two pass rushers, or does Draymond Jones at least satisfy one? Because it's not like he's I saw some guy on Twitter, or Bert sent it into the group, I can't remember the name of the Twitter account, that was looking at Draymond Jones, it's Cortland with a T at the end, I'm not seeing that, Cortland Griffin, who says, yeah, the Titans may have found a diamond in the rough of Draymond Jones. He's getting $10 million. It's not a diamond in the rough. It's a player on a prove-it deal that's being compensated, not at the top of the market. This is a proven NFL player that is looking for a more lucrative payday and understands that there's opportunity here. So this is not a diamond in the rough signing. This is somebody who is a known commodity who can make an impact for your defense. It's just a question of whether he's going to be around here if he proves himself to be viable for the Titans, or if he's going to go somewhere else at the end of this one-year, $10 million deal.
Yeah, and he likely will not be playing on the interior of the Titans' defensive line.
It depends on how, they can deploy multiple fronts, right?
Sure. But with Simmons,
Because like
Devondre
Arden Key
Sweat-
rushing from the interior is not something people had, but that
That's
is a
fair
thing
enough.
that happens.
Yeah, but with Jeffrey Simmons, Tavondre Sweat, Sebastian Joseph Day, Keandre Coburn, all coming back to this team in 2025, and the huge need at edge with the lack of bodies, I would guess that his role will be more similar in totality to what he was doing in Denver, where he was a 5.5, 6.5 sack guy every year he was there, with the exception of his rookie year. He was a third-round pick in 19, right? The Nashville draft, I'm pretty sure, out of Ohio State. And he was playing opposite Von Miller for a couple of years there in Denver. So, yeah, it's a big need, and hopefully the Titans can get something out of him, something better than what the Seahawks got out of him, like you said, in the way that they utilized him differently in 2024.
So in a perfect world, I think this is a next-gen Danico Autry. Like, the measurables are not exactly the same.
He's 28 years old, 6'3", 281 pounds, 4 sacks last year for the Seahawks, which was his lowest mark since his rookie year with Denver.
And again, he was being asked to play out of position in Seattle, which is why I think that he is looking forward to some opportunity to work on the edge here. Danico, I think, a little taller, a little longer, but he's still a quality player that I think can contribute to this defensive front. And what I'm looking for them to get to a point, Lucas, is the best teams in the NFL with their defensive line groups. Obviously, everybody wants depth. But the best teams in the NFL who have an effective pass rush can do it in waves, can do it in a platoon type of system. The guys who are getting paid from the Philadelphia Eagles in Milton Williams and, I'm blanking on the guy that signed with the Bucs, or the Cardinals, rather.
Josh Sweat.
Josh Sweat. Those are part-time players. And I know Josh Sweat didn't get, again, top of market value. He came in under $20 million, which I thought was a good deal, and he's a better pass rusher than anybody the Arizona Cardinals have. But those are part-time players that are now going to fill full-time roles.
Yep.
I want to get to the point. I want to see the Titans get to the point where they start having those part-time players that they're comfortable letting go elsewhere because they can platoon, and they're comfortable enough in their draft setup that they can replenish. Bert, I think the Ravens have done this at such a high level for years, and it's allowed them to really cash in on the compensatory pick market.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned the comp picks. If you want to hear a funny story about comp picks, so the Raiders could have gotten a very high pick for Josh Jacobs signing last year, but they signed Gardner Minshew, who they released with a failed physical designation.
Brutal.
Yeah, I was about to. So he broke his collarbone, right, in week 12 in a loss to the Broncos last season. So that is interesting. This is the report from Florida.
Minshew?
Yeah, Minshew. The failed physical designation indicates that either Minshew's collarbone was not healed or there was another injury the quarterback is dealing with. So he says, based on the failed physical, it could be a little bit before Minshew is cleared to sign with a new team. So maybe we remove Gardner Minshew from the board of potential veteran free agent quarterbacks the Titans could sign here in the coming weeks.
Have you guys ever heard the story about how he gained a medical redshirt year in college? Where
No.
he wanted to redshirt, but the team at ECU would like him to play. We would like you to compete to be the starting quarterback. He knew he was not going to win the starting quarterback job, so he got blackout drunk and took a hammer to his hand and broke his hand. So they had to give him.
I have heard the story
They
before.
had to give him a medical medical redshirt year.
That's a tough scene. That's not the highest level of intelligence.
Back to the Draymond Jones thing, I saw Zach Lyons post this. In 2024, he had 45 pressures, which would have tied Jeffrey Simmons for a team high with the Titans. This is with him playing in a scheme that had him really spending over 84% of his snaps at the wrong position. So it's interesting because he played for Mike McDonald in Seattle. Obviously, McDonald was in Baltimore. Denard Wilson also was working for that defense in Baltimore. They're not the exact same, but I'll be interested to see how Denard Wilson deploys him compared to McDonald.
615-737-1045 is the number as we broadcast live from the SEC tournament. Second round of games getting ready to get underway. And, of course, you can always keep up to date.
Cooper Flagg
What's going on?
is being helped to the locker room, not putting any weight on his left leg right now in the Duke-Georgia Tech game.
That's awful. I mean, he's the consensus first overall pick in the NBA draft. I know there's been some talk about, and it's more viable in the NIL era that a player like Cooper Flagg might come back to Duke, but I think most people have just considered it him paying lip service, the idea of coming back. But if he's seriously injured, and of course we'll await to see more information.
Duke is down 31-26 to Georgia Tech, who is the 8th seed in the ACC tournament at halftime. That would be a huge development.
Duke is the only reason to watch the ACC tournament. And
yes.
That was in large part due to Cooper Flagg being the best player in the country.
There's still some fun teams in the ACC tournament. Clemson's pretty good.
Clemson is a good team.
Steve Forbes fighting for his NCAA tournament life. If he doesn't win the tournament, they're out. I think they're in the second four out, or however the hell you say that stuff.
Are we seeing the injury now?
Yeah, Joseph just handed it to me. Yeah. Oh, he was going up for a rebound and then came down on his left ankle really badly and went crashing down immediately, rolling around on the hardwood. That would be a huge development for the NCAA tournament if he
that would suck.
Has any sort of significant injury.
I mean, that's the biggest star in college basketball by a mile this year.
I would agree. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we'll hope for the best for Cooper Flagg, and if more information becomes available, we will get you updated. Speaking of new information, well, it's not new information, but I always think it's interesting as to where people are in their draft analysis and their study of these players. Some people get a little later to the party than others, and I think that we have some audio of exactly that on Cam Ward being a no-brainer for the number 1 overall pick coming up next.
It's 12:02. Good afternoon from the SEC tournament at Bridgestone Arena. I'm Lucas Panzica. Titans made some moves on Wednesday, bringing in free agent defensive lineman Draymond Jones on a one-year, $10 million deal. Jones had 4 sacks for the Seahawks last year. Titans also signed veteran right guard Kevin Zeitler on a one-year deal worth $9 million. And the team shipped linebacker Kenneth Murray to the Dallas Cowboys, also sending a 7th-rounder to Dallas in exchange for a 6th-round pick. In quarterback news, yesterday, Mac Jones signed a 2-year, $7 million deal with the 49ers. And this morning, we learned the Titans will not retain Mason Rudolph, who signs with Pittsburgh, his former team, for 2 years, $8 million. SEC tournament action. The games pick up today at Bridgestone in the second round. Arkansas taking on Ole Miss. That game tipping off as we speak. The winner faces 1-seed Auburn tomorrow. And in other college basketball news, Duke star Cooper Flagg helped off the court in the ACC tournament with an apparent left ankle injury. He is being examined as Duke trails Georgia Tech 31-26 at halftime in the ACC tournament. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Final hour here at Bridgestone Arena, at least for us. We're going to have Zach Lyons, Blaine Bishop, obviously, right after 3HL. On after that, if you don't get enough 104.5 The Zone stuff there, you could just turn on the SEC Network and see Ron Slay talking about all the games. But we're happy to have you here with us for one more hour. Obviously, the news of the day in the sports world is Cooper Flagg's unfortunate injury in the ACC tournament. Twisted his ankle or came down badly on his ankle while going up for a rebound, as you just heard Lucas mention. That's as much information as we have right now, but the college basketball world kind of holding its breath, hoping that the best player in the sport is able to continue and that it will not adversely impact his NCAA tournament availability and ultimately his NBA draft viability. It would really suck to see a player get hurt in a conference tournament that way and impact his draft stock. Not, let's not get ahead of ourselves, of course, because we don't know the extent of the injury other than it's an ankle injury and that it happened while he was going up for a rebound in this game that Duke is currently playing.
It doesn't look good. He's been seen being taken away in a wheelchair to get examined with his shoe completely off of his left foot. And, that is not a good-looking ankle. I mean, the doctors on social media are zooming in and blowing up the picture.
Can we get rid of Twitter doctors?
Giant swollen
I
ankle.
know Twitter is just a cesspool. I mean, Twitter's always been a cesspool, but never more than it is right now. Can we just get rid of the Twitter doctors? They are the worst. A lot of misinformation out there on Twitter generally, but they don't typically help the scene. And Georgia Tech, notable, Duke the number 1 overall seed in the ACC tournament. They're now trailing 31-26 at half without Cooper Flagg. SEC tournament getting ready to get underway here. You had the first round last night, an unfortunate result for Vanderbilt, who peters out at the end of their season. We're assuming that they're not in at this point in time after losing, 4 straight to end their year?
3. I don't know. I mean, Slay was on here. He believes they are basically a lock. But
okay.
I don't know. I mean, you leave the door cracked to, have the rug pulled out from under you on Selection Sunday when you finish as poorly as you did. I think Vanderbilt winning yesterday would have just been a slam dunk. Okay, we're good. We're solidified. I think they're still in. They deserve to be in. They have a resume. And Slay made a good point. They care more about your wins than your losses. They have very quality wins on their resume. So, no, Vanderbilt should be in, but definitely not an inspiring way to finish the season.
Arkansas and Ole Miss are up first here at Bridgestone, and, of course, the rest of the day will continue. Tennessee, one of 4 teams with a double bye, so we will wait till tomorrow's results to see what happens for the Vols. Hopefully a better result for them than last year in the SEC tournament where they were just dummied by Mississippi State. Not an ideal circumstance, looking to make a better showing in the conference tournament this time around. We are open for business. If you want to call, 615-737-1045 is the number. If you would like, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch is where you can live stream the show. Dan Orlovsky, who is doing work for ESPN, though he keeps doing this cryptic. You paid attention to many of Orlovsky's media appearances lately. He's been making cryptic messaging about. I assume he's in ongoing contract negotiations with ESPN. That's why he's offering some of this up publicly while he's on camera and doing First Take and SportsCenter and things like that about who values him enough. But we're not here to talk about Orlovsky's contract situation. We're here to talk about what Orlovsky said yesterday about potential and almost likely number 1 overall pick in this year's NFL draft, Miami quarterback Cam Ward.
You like Cam Ward a lot, right?
Yeah, I think Cam Ward's the number 1 pick, and it's clear to be the number 1 pick. I've said this. I think the thing that surprised me more about Cam Ward than I anticipated was how well he throws the ball from the pocket. I mean, there are so many examples where that ball, he hits his back foot on the ground, and that thing jumps out of his hand, and it's an absolute rip. And the ball downfield, I mean, he throws the seam ball as good as anybody. Gosh, I'm trying to think. Jaden threw the crosser really well, but throwing the ball in between the hash, he absolutely steps on the football and rips it. And so it's clear to me that he's the number 1 pick. It reminds me a little bit, ironically, of Steve McNair coming out of school and just his style. He's not an electric athlete. He's not a dynamic athlete, but he's athletic enough. And I wish he was an inch or two taller, but Cam Ward, clear number 1 pick. If I was Tennessee, I would not trade out of the pick.
Oh, boy. That's a dangerous comparison to evoke.
That tugs at the heartstrings.
Sure it does.
By the way, he is not the first to make that comp.
No, he is not the first, but that has a particularly visceral and emotional response for people here. Because once you start to have that conversation, I almost wish people wouldn't make that comparison, even if that's who he reminds them of when you watch him.
If that's who it is, that's who it is.
No, I know.
I mean, I don't think Dan Orlovsky's doing like just trying to chase some clout with Titans fans. I think Dan Orlovsky's saying that because he believes that.
And I have no reason to believe otherwise, so it's not like I'm questioning Dan. I'm just saying I almost wish people wouldn't do that to him, to Cam Ward.
Would we do this with every quarterback prospect?
I know. I wish we would not do this with every quarter. I wish that people would not compare people that are picked, 199 to Tom Brady. I wish people would not make Patrick Mahomes draft comparisons to quarterbacks. I wish that, people would not gaslight fan bases into thinking that Cam Ward might be the next Steve McNair for the Tennessee Titans. It's a really, really hard thing to live up to before the player even gets into a meeting or takes a snap in practice. Yeah. That's what I mean. I get that it's going to happen. I wish it wouldn't happen.
Yeah, it's what we do this time of year for not just quarterbacks, but for every player. Like the most egregious one was Kalijah Cansey when he was coming out of Pitt. And
Aaron Donald.
The Aaron Donald conflict.
Hey, he's a nice player, though. But,
he is a nice
player. Think about that.
Aaron Donald might be the best interior D lineman. He is the best of his generation.
But think about that for just a second, and not to belabor the point, but you do Kalijah Cansey such a disservice because he's a good player.
I know, and there may be it's like the Joe Burrow thing, right? Like Shedeur Sanders may share some things with Joe Burrow in terms of what he's good at. Doesn't mean he's anywhere in the stratosphere of Joe Burrow, but no, I don't think Orlovsky's just pandering there. I think he believes that. So what's the biggest issue with Ward? The most common issue with Cam Ward?
Turnover-worthy plays.
Yes,
and to hear Greg talk about it, at times a lackadaisical approach to the mechanics of things.
Right. So the thing with Cam Ward is he has not been a turnover-prone player in his career.
No, he has benefited from good turnover luck.
Oh, for sure. But he had 7 interceptions each of the last 2 years. And do you know how many times he fumbled for Miami last season?
I don't off the top of my
Only
head.
3.
Okay.
So he had 10 turnovers in 2024. And you would think with all of the Cam Ward, the red flags, the cons, that he was a very turnover-prone player like Will Levis was coming out of college. But rarely did they actually result in turnovers. Now, I do understand that it's the tendencies that can be magnified in the NFL. Will Bowling made the point, we were talking during a break during Ramon, Kayla, and Will the other day. Zach Wilson threw like 3 picks his last year at BYU. And then gets to the NFL, and he's a turnover machine. So I get that it's the tendencies.
It's the habits.
Habits that NFL defenses will be able to take advantage of much more so than, the likes of Virginia Tech and whoever was on Miami's schedule. But I think it's worth pointing out that he did not actually have a lot of plays resulting in turnovers.
No, for sure.
He's very loose with the football, right? A lot of people don't like his ball security when he's running it. He only fumbled 3 times in 2024.
And you've seen him do some of the things where he gets into trouble, he evades the pressure, he'll kind of like do that sidearm thing and try and toss it out and get bailed out by a player who's there in the flat to take the ball and run with it and not result in a pick six or a fumble the way that Levis did against the Bears or the Jets this year. Like, some of those plays you can see that at the NFL level, that won't fly, and that's incumbent upon the coaching and Cam Ward to get himself to put in the necessary work to break those habits and to reduce the amount of turnover-worthy plays that he puts himself in position to make. That he's had good turnover luck and that he's avoided those turnovers is absolutely worth noting, but it's about the habits and what, NFL coaches, nothing drives NFL coaches crazier than turnovers. Not penalties, not delay. Nothing in the world makes coaches crazy like turnovers, and you see why, because it's the most direct correlation you have to losing a game. The Titans are as evident of that as any team in the sport last year. Who was it that led the league in turnovers last year? Wasn't it the Titans tied with the Browns for 34?
Yes, they were tied.
And so you understand the situation that both of those teams were in because they put themselves continually in bad situations. Now, I think a lot of people started to do the Levis thing. Well, he makes a lot of the same plays that Levis does and he just gets away with it. No, one is a infinitely more successful college football player than the other. Cam Ward was a way better college football quarterback than was Will Levis. The question is, all things being equal, their college careers are done. What do they become at the next level, and what is the best route to getting the most out of them? That, of course, is a question that we cannot answer until we start to see that take shape.
Ole Miss is leading Arkansas 11-4 early in the first half. Local product Malik Dia is on fire. 9 of Ole Miss's 11 points by Dia. He's 4 of 5 from the floor. Ensworth product that has played at Vanderbilt and Belmont and is now playing for Chris Beard and Ole Miss. So a red-hot start to the game for him.
615-737-1045 is the number if you want to join the conversation at any point. If you want to talk about Cam Ward as the number 1 overall pick. If you want to talk about the Aaron Rodgers domino. Lucas, we're getting pictures of him draped in a blanket with earphones in, wandering a beach somewhere as he holds the rest of the NFL hostage.
Yeah, we need to talk about that because I think that's fake.
The picture?
Yeah.
You think the picture is a fake?
No, I don't think the picture. We'll talk about it.
All right, coming up next.
3A girls quarterfinal wrapping up in Murfreesboro. I'm Lucas Panzica as Heritage closing out a 60-35 win over Portland with 1:29 to play. Looking like Heritage will pick up their 33rd win and move to the 3A girls semifinal to face South Gibson. Designated drivers are the real MVP. If you've been drinking, pass your keys to a sober friend. Fans don't let fans drive drunk. Brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, a division of the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security.
Welcome back to the show here at Bridgestone Arena. Show fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. It's the only thing Bridgestone Arena is missing, really, during the SEC tournament is a Hattie B's Hot Chicken stop. We'll speak to the proper authorities, see if we can't get that situation addressed. Kirby, get on it. 615-737-1045 is the number.
They
if you
got
would
him
like
at
to
Nissan
jump
Stadium.
in.
Just saying.
Got him at Nissan?
Nissan's smart enough to sell Hattie B's Hot Chicken.
No, I know. I have left the Titans press box at halftime to go get some Hattie B's from the concourse and take it upstairs because I do not like some of the options that they have from time to time in the Nissan Stadium press box. But that's neither here nor there. SEC tournament underway. Keep you updated with the latest. Vols obviously don't tip off until tomorrow, though there are some very interesting games today. The Aaron Rodgers quarterback domino is one that I hate that we're still – this is like the third straight offseason that we've talked about Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback domino that the rest of us are waiting to fall.
I feel like more than that. I feel like it's been 4 years of this.
When did he buy property in Franklin? That was 3 years ago.
3 or 4, yeah. But the last couple of off seasons that he was in Green Bay, there was plenty of scuttlebutt around Aaron Rodgers this time of year.
I do love that word.
It's a great word.
Scuttlebutt. Bert, I want an Urban Dictionary reading of scuttlebutt by the end of the show.
Oh, we've
please,
done
thank
this.
you. Have we?
Oh, yeah. I think it originates from Pirates or something.
Shame on me for being in reruns already. But the Aaron Rodgers domino affects everybody, including the Titans. And it doesn't mean that the Titans can't still draft Cam Ward #1 overall and move on with their day, and that would be the best-case scenario at this point in time, though I still think there would be some interest in trading back for the right offer. The thing that's holding up the trade back is they want a future first, too.
Yes,
and they future first-round pick, too. TOO is how I should say that.
I feel like they should. That should be a requirement to move.
But
off
think
of
about that
#1 overall.
But if you're the Cleveland Browns, say, and you need a quarterback, and you don't want to let the Giants get the quarterback, you going to give up a future first to go up a spot?
Right.
I think that's a tough sell.
It is.
But that's what it should be if you're going up for the quarterback. That's what it should cost, and I think that's kind of the sticking point. I mean, that is the sticking point between the Titans and the teams that might be interested in coming up for #1 overall. Could things change as we continue forward, like Aaron Rodgers not signing with a team in the next couple of days or even weeks, depending on how long this takes him? But this is a bad time for, like, example. There's a good article in the Athletic this morning about the Giants awaiting word from Aaron Rodgers and how it's a terrible time to need a quarterback savior. Now, Titans aren't in quarterback savior mode, right? Because we all understand here locally. Maybe nationally the conversation is different, but locally we understand that it's going to take more than a rookie quarterback to save, quote-unquote, the Titans from the bad football that they've experienced the past couple of years. You need pass rush. You need offensive line help. They've addressed both. You need better skill position players. They're going to look to address that. They need depth. They are going to look to address that. They need better quarterback play. They're going to look to address that. In New York, the patience is not existent from the people that matter most, not the fans, but the ownership. And Aaron Rodgers is frustrating even the NFL insiders like Adam Schefter, who made an appearance on ESPN Milwaukee yesterday and kind of gave, or at least voiced his frustration about why on earth it's taking Aaron Rodgers so long to decide.
Adam, what are you hearing about Aaron Rodgers, and is Minnesota in play?
I think Aaron Rodgers right now, I think that the primary options are the Steelers and the Giants, and then does he want to play before we even get to Minnesota, right? Like, I know that I think people have come to the conclusion that he wants to play, but to me, this shouldn't be that hard, right? Like, the Steelers want you. The Giants want you. We're seeing players across the league make decisions. It shouldn't be that hard. Either you want to play or you don't. You want to play Pittsburgh or you don't. You want to play in New York or you don't. Like, sure, what are you going to have for lunch? You're going to make a decision, you're going to drag it out for 4 days, 5 days, a week. Like, it's not that hard. Make the decision and live with it, right? Like, you're never going to be perfect. And so my guess is he wants to play. My guess is Pittsburgh's the leader. But I don't know what Aaron's thinking right now. And he's a tough guy to predict. Well, how did Mark Murphy describe? He's a complicated fella.
Nailed it. Yeah, I'd tell you to text him, but I know the last time you did that didn't go over so well with him. So,
No.
Do you have any estimation on a timeline for Rodgers?
I was told yesterday it was going to be some time. Now, I don't know what some time. That was yesterday morning. Okay, so what is some time? Is sometime a day? Is it a week? Is it a few? I don't know what sometime is. So, I was not expecting yesterday ever. Today's a new day and anything's possible, but it doesn't seem like what are these teams going to do? It's not like they're waiting on Aaron Rodgers and they need an answer because they need to go on to Tom Brady. Okay, so you don't get Aaron Rodgers. Do you want to do Marcus Mariota, Joe Flacco, Carson Wentz?
Yeah.
Okay, there's no rush. Like, everybody wants solution and clarity, but what are we rushing to?
The fact that it's even a talking point. Does he want to play?
The disdain for Schefter, you could tell. Just make up your mind. It's not that hard.
I wonder how much of that is carryover from Aaron Rodgers getting on the podium last year and 100%. Telling Adam Schefter to lose his number.
And normally I'd be like, come on, man. Just saying that about any player. Like, come on, not that hard. You want to keep playing football? You want to retire? Make up your mind. Hurry up.
But this one,
it's like, no, I get where he's coming from. For anybody else, I feel like, I don't know, that's a pretty big decision. But with Rodgers, we're all tired of the charade year in and year out. What's this picture that you brought up?
So there was a picture that was making the rounds on the internet yesterday of Aaron Rodgers with wired headphones in. What the hell is he 110 years old? Wired headphones in with a blanket draped around his shoulders walking down the beach.
Yes.
And you think that's a fake picture?
I think it's an old picture because I think he looks younger in that picture than he is now.
Oh, you think New York has aged him so poorly?
And the wired headphones were a red flag to me. Hey, who is wearing wired headphones in 2020?
You know what? I see a lot of people still doing it. Kirby
raised his hand. I mean, I guess it's it's
talking about normal human beings.
They are all reliable, but no, yeah, and I just I feel like it's just an old picture of Rodgers looking forlorn on a beach.
I mean, it's not that hard to find forlorn Rodgers pictures.
Gazing out into the distance, but no, we're all just sitting here waiting for him to make up his mind. I saw Greg Rosenthal on NFL Network talking about how crazy it is that the Steelers and Giants have been reduced to waiting for an answer from a quarterback the Jets didn't want.
Yeah.
I mean, what is this world that we're living in? So at this point, obviously the effect on the Titans would be if the Giants got Aaron Rodgers, and then suddenly you have next to no options, you would think, of trading out from number 1 overall. That might not matter, though, if the Titans have reached a conclusion that they're going to draft a quarterback with the number 1 pick for the first time in the Titans era.
So from one insider to another, Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network was talking about the quarterback dominoes generally and Rodgers' space in that mix.
Yeah, it's day 4, and we're still waiting for Aaron Rodgers. Or day 100, I don't know. It's whatever. And Aaron Rodgers is certainly in his own world right now. In Australia, actually, walking on the beach, as was captured by a tabloid. Taking his time, sorting through options, trying to make a decision. He has, as we've talked about, 2 strong options. He has the New York Giants, who have expressed interest and essentially told him that they want him to be their guy. He has the Pittsburgh Steelers, who's in the same situation. I don't get a sense it's going to come down to money. It does seem like wherever Rodgers chooses, the money is worked out. It will take care of itself. It's not going to be an issue. It's just, where does he want to play? It's just simply, whose team does he want to be quarterback of? And that does seem to be, Tom, holding up everything right now. The backup plan for both of these teams seem to be Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson, by the way, has some quarterback visits coming up. He starts with the Cleveland Browns today. There's the New York Giants tomorrow. It is rare, very rare, that we see a player take a non-medical visit during free agency. Used to be something like 10 years ago. Now really does not happen. Russell Wilson knows he's got time, probably because Aaron Rodgers is in Australia. So he wants to make sure that he is diligent in his search as well. The only interesting thing here is, let's say the Browns visit goes so well, they decide to try to sign him. Does that speed up the process? We'll find out, Tom, later today.
Who's having a worse time, Aaron Rodgers or his agent, who's trying to contact his client who's in 17 different time zones away? You thought it was an old picture.
I guess
he's walking around in a blanket with wired headphones in on a beach in Australia, trying to get his mind right.
He got as far away as he could.
Oh, my God. You know who else took that path? Drake. What's he running from? What's Aaron Rodgers running from, other than, the stench of the New York Jets? but just a tough time.
Just waiting on him. Everybody just sitting here waiting on him.
I honestly can't blame him, though, because, like, if you work in the NFL, you know you're going to be busy, like, August to January. He's not really going to go to the playoffs, even though he probably wants to. He's like, why the hell would I sign up so I have to answer to somebody else? Why the hell would I sign up so someone else I have to be in accordance with somebody else's whims at all times? Hey, are you training? You feeling good? You diet good? Your feet not hurting? You doing any drugs? Like, hell with y'all. I'm going to do what the hell I want to, and I'll sign with one of y'all when you need me. There's too many people that need me. There a couple weeks ago, it was like, no one wants Rodgers. No, he's not going to have a place. And now there's like 3 teams that are vying for his services. If I'm Rodgers, I'm like, none of y'all wanted me 3 weeks ago. I'm going to a beach. Leave me alone.
Truly.
That probably always was, not dumb, but misguided to say, what if there's just not a market for him, right?
Oh, I don't know.
But teams need quarterbacks, man. And
yeah, but there's other quarterbacks, and he's just a particular pain in the ass.
He is, but the quarterbacks that are available now did not do what Aaron Rodgers did last year. Like, as much of a pain as he is, I'm with you. Aaron Rodgers played solid football coming off an Achilles in 2024. That's just a fact.
All right.
So that is better than whatever else is out there. It's better than Russell Wilson right now from a football standpoint, who also brings his own set of headaches, right, off the field.
I mean, other than the cringy stuff.
It's just weird. Yeah. It's very different. They're both weird in their own ways.
I love that Buck thinks that Aaron is a pain in the butt because if you were an NFL quarterback, you would probably be Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, there's no question.
Yeah, you would.
Indisputably.
What do you mean you want me to come to practice? I'm in Egypt. What do you mean? I had a plane. I had a trip planned.
I have a better reason to be in Egypt than he does. That's where my family. Half of my family lives.
Now you're saying you're more entitled than an NFL quarterback. Anyone can go anywhere. What do you mean?
No. But the difference between me and Aaron Rodgers is I'm self-aware. I know I'm a pain in the ass. He doesn't, clearly. Or maybe he's eliminated all the people in his life who have been telling him what a pain he is at this point in time. Unfortunately for me, I'm stuck with you and Lucas moving forward, and Kirby, just to tell me what a pain I am, to remind me to stay self-aware, all right? At least I'm willing to accept that mantle. It's good for the Titans, though. The longer he holds this out, the more desperate New York gets, the more desperate Cleveland gets. It's good for the Titans because even if they do just end up staying and drafting Cam Ward number 1 overall, you want the most amount of leverage, and you want to see how much further you can drive up that offer for the number 1 overall pick. And it may still not be worth it. Like, you may get as much leverage as you're capable of getting out of this draft pick, and at the end of the day, cost-benefit analysis, is it worth us passing on a quarterback who we believe – and I don't know what they believe about Cam Ward, but all indications are trending towards Cam Ward being the number 1 overall pick, whether it's the Titans or somebody else.
Yep.
So if he's good enough to go number 1 overall for somebody, is he good enough to go number 1 overall for you? And if he's good enough to go number 1 overall for you, you take him and you don't think twice.
Well, if you're the Giants, I mean, they already were in sort of, panic mode.
They're in hell.
Impatient panic mode. If you're the Giants and you are getting the same feeling that everybody else is, that everything is trending towards the Titans taking Cam Ward with the number 1 overall pick, then you are in full-blown panic mode. Because if Rodgers decides to go to a team that actually can be competitive, which is Pittsburgh, because they've only ever been competitive under Mike Tomlin, you have no options. None. If the Titans are going to take Cam Ward and the Browns are going to take Shedeur Sanders, you've got nowhere to turn except a Russell Wilson. And I think Russell Wilson is a markedly worse quarterback than Aaron Rodgers right now.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. Russ just looked so bad down the stretch last year, and it's not just because the Steelers lost 5 games in a row at the end of their season for a variety of different reasons, but Russ was a big part of that. And whatever the Jets are, I would be more willing to bet on Aaron Rodgers at an advanced stage, if for no other reason besides people think he can't, and he is such a motivated player based on the external components. I think that I don't know if there's a player that's going to come into the season, whether it ends up working out for him or not, but he's certainly, I think, going to come in as motivated as he ever has because of how he don't want to go out the way that he did with the Jets.
Yeah.
Those 2 years are such a stain.
I bet he plays
on a Hall of Fame resume. I mean, it's brutal what's happened to him at the end of his career, and it's a lot of it's a situation of his own making, right? He got miserable at the end in Green Bay. they left him, or left them. He left them no choice but to move him. Made sense at the time. He makes this whole thing about, Aaron Rodgers and leading the Jets to Super Bowls and adding a Lombardi trophy to the case and all these other things, and then he tears his Achilles on 4 snaps in to his first game as a Jet after running out of the tunnel with the American flag during the 9/11 commemoration game in New York with fireworks and light shows and all these other things, and the most Jets thing ever. It would also be the most Jets thing ever for him to go somewhere else and play better.
Yes, that too. Again, Pittsburgh is what makes the most sense. It just is.
Yeah,
it's the spot.
Why on earth would he want to go to the Giants?
Like, if he wants to win games and play for a coach that he respects, there is a mutual respect there between he and Tomlin. And it's a better roster, all of those things. So I'd be shocked I'd be very surprised if he is not a Pittsburgh Steeler.
Bert says he has a Cooper Flag update. What's the latest?
So Brendan Marks, who writes for The Athletic, covering the ACC tournament down there, says Cooper Flag is back on the bench, and he's doing a little bit of lip reading, but says looks like Cooper Flag said, quote, "I can't move it. I'll be back for tomorrow." They're currently up. Ross, what's that score?
49-43 Duke, so we have taken the lead back, but vibes are not good right now. Yes, I'm on the team. I am on the team.
No, surely.
He's
a
Dookie, baby!
That is the worst fake Dickie V I've ever heard in my life.
Well, it's the only one you got.
Ross is from Charlotte, North Carolina, so it stacks up. Everybody does it, man. Everybody hates on it, but everybody does it. Everybody does it. Did we win? Did we lose? How do we look? Everybody does it.
I'm just so disattached from my favorite team now that I refer to them as a they, not a we. My iPad went out mercifully as Indiana trails to Oregon in the first round of the Big Ten. Second round.
This is a great example of how joy just isn't an option for you. You don't let it be an option, because if you guys go on to win this tournament, you're going to be mad.
I'm just going to assume.
You're just going to be upset because it's Mike Woodson doing good things, and you continue to see Mike Woodson being propped up and praised. And then if they lose today against Oregon, you're going to be angry. So there's no scenario in which you are happy with whatever Indiana does.
Yeah, let's kind of roll in it, Buck. Like, what time does your game even start today?
Unfortunately,
Oh, sorry about that. Something way more important than Indiana came up. Wide receiver Noah Brown, free agent who caught the Hail Mary touchdown pass last year that ignited the Commanders' season, is returning to Washington on a 1-year deal worth up to $4.5 million.
It is another receiver off the board. Also, the Raiders are signing Raheem Mostert to a 1-year, $2 million deal.
You shouldn't have said that. I was going to let him go back.
You just run him over with it. I apologize.
It's so much harder to avoid those things when I can't see him.
It's okay. So anyway, talk about your team. Let's do that.
Go to break.
.3A girls basketball tournament going on at the Murphy Center. We have a final. Heritage defeating Portland 60-36. They move on to face South Gibson in the 3A semifinal. Coming up next, Dyersburg taking on White County on the other side of the 3A girls bracket that is tipping off in moments. Drunk driving is the ultimate form of unsportsmanlike conduct. Fans don't let fans drive drunk. Brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, a division of the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security.
Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in. Last call for phone calls before we turn it over for the day. You're going to hang around, do some scoreboard updates, yeah?
Yeah, I'll take in some basketball, updating the girls' state championship tournament action going on in Murfreesboro.
Very cool. I want to pivot to a quick baseball story that caught my attention, and I know what you're thinking. Us talking baseball, just stay away, avoid it. You know nothing. And you're right, we know nothing about baseball, but I don't need to know anything about baseball to read this story from ESPN about the Tampa Bay Rays. So, Tampa Bay and Oakland, well, I guess now Vegas, because the Athletics are moving. Tampa Bay is another one of these teams that is talked about, or being potentially, the White Sox have also been mentioned in this with their ownership situation, about potentially moving markets. And usually this is a way for franchises to hold cities hostage, being like, build us a new stadium or else. So there's a $1.3 billion plan to build the Rays a new stadium because their previous stadium was destroyed in a hurricane. Of course, the horrible storms that the Tampa area and surrounding areas experienced here in the last couple of months. And they were always planning on building a new stadium anyway because the old Rays stadium is pretty decrepit at this point in time. Well, now the reporting is that the Rays are not going to move forward with their stadium plan. Their $1.3 billion ballpark in Tampa, and they're citing storms and delays as a reason that is the case. The team issued a statement by principal owner, I'm reading directly from NBC now, Stuart Sternberg, saying that a series of events in October, which included severe damage to the existing Tropicana field and financing delays, led to what he called a difficult decision. After careful deliberation, we have concluded we cannot move forward with the new ballpark and development project at this moment. So at this moment, I mean, they're playing, how many teams are playing in like minor league ballparks this year? Because it's the A's and the Rays at least, right? Due to the fact that the A's are moving and the Rays don't have a stadium to play in. You're talking about multiple MLB teams playing in 11,000, 12,000 seat stadiums. It's kind of like putting the Chargers at that soccer stadium a couple of years ago.
No, I remember, the footage of the storm basically ripping the roof off of that stadium. Yeah, it was a scary situation.
So I don't know that means for sure that the Rays are going to move, but I feel like things are starting to fall in line for the Rays to potentially move. And I know we've talked about the Major League Baseball grift here in Nashville, and I'm not down on the people with the Music City. It's the Music City Stars is the name.
Nashville Stars.
Nashville Stars, whatever it is. They're trying to manifest this thing into existence, but they don't have the money. They don't have a billionaire to come in here and fund a franchise. It's not like the soccer team where John Ingram just said, let there be soccer.
Correct.
And built a stadium in Berry Hill. So without that, I saw yesterday, and it made me irrationally angry. More mad than even the idea of the Titans signing Carson Wentz was the fact that the Nashville Stars are producing merch. And I know that the Nashville Stars, it goes back to the historically black team and the Negro League team, of which they are using the history to produce the name of what they hope will be the future Nashville MLB franchise. So I'm not down on that, right? Because you can still buy Montreal Expos gear somewhere. But the idea that they're trying to raise money with merch sales for a team that doesn't exist and doesn't have the financing to exist, it makes me so mad for reasons that I cannot explain. Like, can we just wait a bit? I understand you have to have the mobilization process in place. If something does drop out of the sky, if a billionaire just decides, all right, baseball in Nashville, let's do it. I got you. I'll finance it. But even then, there's nothing that guarantees that the Rays, the White Sox, or otherwise are coming to Nashville anytime soon. And I know Rob Manfred has gaslit the Nashville market in mentioning Nashville every time he gets to a podium talking about expansion. But until there's money here, I don't know why it continues to be a talking point. I do think it's interesting that the Rays are pulling out of their new ballpark deal because that could be a legitimately important domino that falls. Much more important than the Nashville Stars trying to produce MLB.com merch.
Well, I believe that the MLB wants to be in Nashville.
Sure.
But the more likely scenario would be a team like the Rays deciding they want to relocate and coming to Nashville, as opposed to a billionaire appearing out of nowhere and just handing down money from on high to create baseball in Nashville. So, yeah, I'm largely with you. I do like the nostalgia aspect of it and honoring the Negro League team and, the throwback, aspect of it all. I don't mind that. Now, what I would like to see is for the Nashville Stars to continue to sell hats, but, do the Major League Baseball thing of put the logo over the spelling of the team name and see what kind of vulgarities come of it.
Well, so we had
as many teams did across the MLB.
We had the Los Angeles.
I don't know. Can we say them on the air?
I did yesterday.
I don't
know.
Pull them from team stores.
I did yesterday. It was the Los Angeles Angels and then the Houston. I can't remember.
The Texas Rangers.
The Texas Rangers.
Yeah.
What was the?
That was TETAS. Because
no, there was another one with the Astros, I think.
Oh, the Astros. Oh, it's just they just had.
Just
exactly what you think.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I am scared of the Angels one because it could be.
So for people who don't know what we're talking about, like the Texas Rangers hat. So it's spelled Texas at the top of the hat in the team font, but the T logo is overlaying it right in the middle on top. So the T covers up the X. So all you see is TETAS, which, figure that one out for yourself. Yeah. It's multiple teams having to remove hats from their own team store. This was a caller that pointed it out to us during the Dumbest Thing in Sports this week.
Yeah, no, I had no idea that was happening. And then when I saw them, I was horrified.
Literally with vulgarities.
Horrified that they allowed those things to be stocked in teams' merch stores and then had to pull them because they looked like it had vulgarity spelled out on the hats.
So I don't think anything would come out of the Nashville Stars.
Baseball and merch, man. They can't get the players' uniforms right with Fanatics. They can't get the hats right with, New Era? Just a mess.
Terrible.
All right, let's do some polls, Bert.
That's the most underrated poll open. Like that impression, the Beavis and Butthead impression by Rhett Bryan, spot on. It might be the best impression of all the poll opens.
No, I think it's not even close.
Yeah.
I think the Beavis and Butthead poll open by Rhett Bryan is art.
And they're all good. Borat, Terminator, the Joker, but that one is on
Kirby
point.
doesn't think much of Rhett's Terminator impression, but that's neither here nor there.
Halftime, by the way, the SEC tournament, Ole Miss leading Arkansas 42-34. Texas and Texas A&M will face off around 2:30 to decide who gets to play Tennessee tomorrow. Polls are presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. What Titans signing felt the best yesterday for Titans fans? The Kevin Zeitler signing or Draymond Jones? 84% say Zeitler. Titans fans are sick of seeing terrible O-line play, and as of right now, you can feel okay about the best case starting lineup if healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Draymond Jones deal just because he's younger, and I think he can have a huge impact. Zeitler's a one-year deal at 35 years old, but I totally sympathize with Titans fans. They're sick of watching their quarterback on whomever it is back.
Should Vandy be in the NCAA tournament? 65% say yes, 35% say no. I think they will be in, but they didn't do themselves any favors yesterday. How confident are you that the Titans are taking Cam Ward number 1 overall? 55% say pretty confident. 25% say it's a lock. 20% say they have no confidence at all that it'll be a quarterback number 1.
No confidence at all.
Yeah. Where will Aaron Rodgers land in 2025? Steelers, Giants, or retired? I guess we could have put the Vikings in here as he continues the Brett Favre legacy path.
The longer it goes, the more likely it gets.
Majority, 64% say Steelers, 20% say retired, 16% say Giants. I think it's going to be Steelers.
I think he wants to play just so he doesn't go out that way, but
and that's his best chance to start for a competitive football team.
Yeah.
Those are the polls.
That's the show. Blaine and Zach coming up next. We'll do it one more time from Bridgestone Arena tomorrow. Enjoy the basketball.